Hello and welcome back to the Funfiltered podcast. I am Sam and I'm joined as ever by Jordan.
You are.
No fucking about, top 10 of 2023, let's go. So yes, this is our released in March top 10 things of 2023. If you haven't listened before, we include TV shows and film. We don't include music, video games, podcasts.
Yeah, you put a stop to that.
I did. After the first year, it became way too much.
Okay.
It became too much things to keep track of.
Yeah.
You know, like TV and film, easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is the audio-visual top 10
Okay.
of 2023. There are a couple of things that might be missed because basically I've instantiated shared rules for the two of us, which Jordan is thrilled with which Jordan is thrilled. Do you want to explain the rule?
Oh, so I have to explain your rule.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right, okay. Basically, I'm not allowed to use like half of my list. Sam has decided that in the interest of fairness, we are going to go purely by UK release date.
For film.
For film, yeah.
Yeah.
And in terms of television, shows that start in 2023 but end in 2024 will also not be included.
Yes, and TV shows include basically its first release anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
If it started and ended... No, well, if it ended in 2023 as a season, it counts.
Yeah.
Just because if you start going by UK for TV, I don't even know what that means anymore.
Yeah.
With streaming and all that.
Yeah,
kind
no,
of stuff.
exactly, yeah.
So, yes, TV is everywhere. Film, it's by UK release date. And because this is the first year we're doing this, I think we miss maybe one thing that would be on your list, which is Puss in Boots: The Last Wish.
Yeah.
That might well have been in your top 10.
Yeah.
But that was in your top 10 for last year.
Yes, exactly.
So that's fresh start.
Yeah, exactly. Reset button. If you don't hear something, it'll probably show up in next year's list because it came out later for us than what is considered the global release date.
So, like, one example of something that may well have been in these lists would be season 5 of Fargo.
Yeah.
That we'll review on the next episode.
Ooh.
I think.
Okay.
I don't even know anymore.
No.
So
the next episode will probably be next year's top 10.
Yes.
The rate we're going.
So we're going to start with, before we dive into the top 10, we're going to cover all the things we missed, good and bad, kind of honourable, dishonourable mention sort of thing. Now, the rule for these lists is we're not including anything that we've previously reviewed on the podcast.
Yeah, but there's no point taking up time just kind of like restating like, oh, this is not good enough to be one of the best things of the year.
Yes.
But we already discussed it, so our feelings on it are made known.
And we consider doing the top 10 worst of the year as well. But there's no credible way of doing it, really, because we just don't watch everything.
Okay.
You know, we probably have seen the worst things of the year, I would wager. But it's just not fair, you know, whereas I think we can reasonably say that we've probably watched, in our opinion, the best things of the year.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay, so the likes, for instance, of Transformers, whatever that one was called.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to hear that in these lists because we reviewed it.
Yeah.
But needless to say, it is one of the worst things of 2023. So we're going to start with the poop that we missed.
Yes. The fun list.
Yes, and we've merged...
who am I kidding? All lists are fun.
All lists are fun, of course. Yeah. We've merged our lists for expediency. So some will be just mine, some will be just Jordan's, and a lot of them will be mutual.
Yeah.
So the first one on poop we missed is one of mine, Blackberry. But you didn't like it either, right?
I didn't like it. I mean, we were going to do a full-blown review of this.
Yeah.
But even before we kind of ran out of time, I kind of against the idea just because I had nothing to say.
You had nothing to say. Yeah. Well, it's the Social Network light. Glenn Howerton, despite the acclaim for his performance, I think is very one-note. Matt Johnson, the writer-director, he plays the best friend character who's kind of meant to be the Eduardo Saverin, likeable but goofier character.
Yeah.
And he is incredibly annoying and unlikable.
Yeah.
So when the stick in the mud comes into the company and says, we're going to start laying down I'm going to lay down the law and we're going to start doing things right, you're like, yeah, it's a place of work. But I don't know, maybe that's an age thing. Second, third, and fourth on the list, I think you'd concur with these, but I just put these in the category of rubbish blockbuster because there's really nothing else to say about them.
Okay.
And that is Blue Beetle,
Okay.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, and John Wick Chapter 4.
Well, I didn't see Indiana Jones, much to my delight.
Yes.
Although I feel like I missed out with that ending.
Yeah, but it's a lot. It's a lot of Shawshank Before the Redemption, as they say.
Blue Beetle's just one of those films that's like, I don't even know why this was made.
Yeah.
And I've completely lost patience with the John Wick franchise at this point.
I can't even remember it, you know? That's the thing. You watch them and then they're over.
The only thing I remember about it was two things. One of them is, I guess there's that like over the head shot in the building, which everyone's like, oh, that's really good.
I honestly don't even remember that.
Oh, that's like 3 hours in at that point. But the only thing two things I remember are most of the characters walking up to John Wick and going, John, where does this end? Please tell me when this is going to end soon. And there's a moment where he spends like 15 minutes climbing a staircase and then he gets kicked to the bottom of that staircase.
Okay.
And to me, that's just the film in a microcosm, really.
Yeah, it reminds me of that thing in Tropic Thunder. Here we go again. Again.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But sincerely.
Yeah. What is it? That's the thing with this.
Well, when I say sincerely, it's like it doesn't realise it's wasting my time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a mutual one. Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Yeah, you like Chicken Run, right?
I love Chicken Run.
Chicken Run's amazing.
It's a masterpiece.
Chicken Run is a masterpiece.
Masterpiece of chicken.
A masterpiece of chicken. It's the best thing involving chicken that doesn't involve eating chicken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll go with that for now, yeah.
Okay. And it's stop motion as well, like peak Aardman stop motion, so it hasn't aged a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so there is absolutely no need to acknowledge this film's existence whatsoever.
No. And that they changed a lot of the voice cast.
Yeah.
The main character, crucially.
Yeah.
And resultantly, if you go in knowing that, one is always listening for the discrepancies.
Which is kind of accentuated by the fact that a lot of the supporting cast reprise their roles.
Yeah.
So there's this uncanniness of, oh, here are these characters I know, and who the fuck is this person playing Ginger?
Who knows who they asked and who they didn't ask to come back, but, I mean, it's not like... So on the one hand, there's, that person's not high profile enough now to be the lead voice in Chicken Run, Dawn of the Nugget.
Yeah.
Julia Sawalha. Okay, but who cares? It's Chicken Run. Like, kids are not going to want to see it because Beyonce is voicing the main chicken.
Yeah.
The main hen. And also Tandy Newton. Like, is that a big draw for children? I don't know. I just found that weird. There's one major difference, but I can't imagine it's that. But you end up thinking those kinds of things.
Mm.
Mel Gibson, okay, understandable. Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. I mean, he sort of rehabilitated himself, but who's it? The guy from Shazam now, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Zach
Levy. Yeah. Or Levy, whatever.
Or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But Timothy Spall is replaced and Paul Daniels.
Mm.
No, is it Paul Daniels? No, Paul Daniels is a magician, isn't he?
Is he?
Yeah. What's his name?
Paul Dano, I'm thinking of.
It's not Paul Dano.
No.
The bloke that's in Park Life. Phil Daniels.
Right.
Paul Daniels is a magician.
Okay.
They've, for some reason, been replaced.
Mm.
By, I can't even remember who. Samson Kao, maybe?
Yeah.
A bunch of, newbie comedians. And, Nick Mohammed, I can't stand, voices one of the villains. There is one good line.
Okay.
Which is, one of the characters says, we're going into the fray. And then, not Bunty. Is it Bunty?
Babs
says, I'm free-phobic. That was one good line.
How much of that is the accent, though?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like Hot Fuzz, It's, it's not enough to build a film around.
No, it's really not. And it's bizarre because of how tight the first Chicken Run is. The script is, there's not an ounce of fat on that script.
And it's interesting that you said it's peak Aardman. Isn't it the first feature-length Aardman film?
Oh, Aardman is diminishing returns. Constant. I mean, Curse the Were-Rabbit's very good.
Yeah.
And I have a soft spot for The Pirates and Adventure with Scientists.
Yeah. And that's the cut-off point.
Yeah, everything after that has been mediocre or just boring.
Yeah.
Shaun the Sheep was okay, but it's nowhere near the early stuff.
Yes.
I said, when we opened this review, by saying that there's no point even acknowledging this film's existence, and we'll close it by saying that there probably is only one reason that we should, and that's that there's a new Wallace and Gromit film in the works.
Right, yes.
And I will not tolerate a bad Wallace and Gromit film. So I really hope that Aardman take heed of the fact that this was not, nowhere near the quality of the first Chicken Run and kind of up their game a little before they get to it.
Has someone inherited the Wallace mantle?
Yeah, I don't know who, but obviously
there is someone doing
it. Yeah.
No, but has there been...
Oh, yeah, no, I think there has been Wallace and Gromit stuff, little, shorts.
Okay, and it sounds fine.
Yeah, okay,
it sounds
good.
Fine. Good. Yeah, no, Wallace and Gromit cannot be fucked with, but it will be.
Yeah.
It won't be as good as Curse the Were-Rabbit.
No.
One of the reasons is that with Chicken Run and Were-Rabbit, Were-Rabbit is kind of... It's an evolution ahead of Chicken Run in its animation.
Yeah.
But even with that, you can see the thumbprints. You see the handiwork. Now it's so slickly done. Even though it's still stop motion,
yeah,
it just kind of takes the joy out of it.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is interesting because, like, in a couple of the featurettes for Dawn of the Nugget, they make that point where they've stuck with stop motion because they want to see the thumbprints. But as you said, it's so slick at this point that you just end up not noticing it. And it, like, you've got, compared to, like, the bleakness and the grittiness of the first one, and this just looks like any generic bright kids film, you know?
And it's bizarre because stop motion is not an animation, as a layman, it's not an animation style that you'd think could get slicker, really. I mean, what can you do? Like, it's just finger work, you know? It's kind of
more
weird.
Frames, that's kind of it. But, like, how many frames do you need to add before? It's kind of the Kubo and the Two Strings problem, isn't it? Where at some point, it's so smooth, it's just animated.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, Cocaine Bear.
Yeah,
that's for both of us, I think.
Yeah.
The title is all there is.
The title and the sequence where the bear chases the ambulance is okay.
Okay, yeah, but that's it.
Yeah.
Another one for both of us, Dream Scenario.
Biggest disappointment of the year?
Don't force me to put together another list in my head. But I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get my hopes up for anything anymore. But, like, Dream Scenario, I didn't know about it way in advance. Like, the trailer had been released.
Yeah.
And you knew about it before I did.
Yeah, I saw the trailer first.
Yeah. But when I knew the concept, like, okay, that's interesting.
Yeah. And is there any actor better suited to playing a man who is in everybody's dreams than Nicolas Cage?
Exactly. It's kind of and the film sort of deals with this. It's kind of an analogy for a meme, isn't it? It's just a guy that pops up everywhere in memes, and it's just popping up on everyone's subconscious. I think the biggest problem with it, right, is that I compare it to the Banshees of Inisherin, which is you see it and you go, oh, that feels like a parable, an age-old parable. I don't know how I haven't seen this story before in a way.
Yeah.
And Dream Scenario, it offers such a unique, timeless concept. Like, oh, wow, that's really interesting. And it uses it for quite a superficial, ultimately shallow, and I think what will age premise.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it. It kind of takes aim at kind of modern celebrity culture and cancel culture, and kind of wokeism and that sort of thing. And hopefully those things will age badly. But it certainly doesn't make it timeless.
No.
It makes it too timely.
Yeah, it's kind of a victim of its own premise, really, because, like, at the end of the film, they introduce this whole new kind of situation where everyone's aware of Nicolas Cage now. They don't know, like, how this happens. Nicolas Cage doesn't even know how it happens. But somehow they've managed to tap into that resource. And they're now using people's dreams to advertise products. Yes. And they send influencers into their dreams who can't be hurt or killed, and they just advertise products at you. That's a whole, like, mini-series worth of potential that they shove into the last 15 minutes just so Nicolas Cage can say goodbye to his wife.
I can't remember if there's a nod and a wink to this, but realistically, if they develop the technology for that kind of thing, the first thing it would be used for would be porn.
Well, yeah.
That's what porn drives every technological innovation.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, that just whole universe, there's a series in that.
Yeah.
We can now kind of do things with dreams. That's infinite, you know? But if you're going to do it in a film, you need to have a stronger central idea.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, okay. So the next one's just one of yours.
Okay.
Lady Ballers.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Now, I didn't love Lady Ballers.
No.
But it's just not something I would put on the list. And not because of my ideological sympathies, just because it was kind of a big nothing to me.
Yeah, I think the thing that kind of went against it for me, this is kind of a throwback to those kind of noughties sports comedies.
A bit earlier, I would say. Yeah,
yeah, late 90s, early noughties, like sports comedies. And it's using that arena to kind of showcase the absurdity of trans athletes.
Yes.
Again, like, ideologically, I'm, like, sympathetic to what the film is talking about. The problem is, I don't like this type of film. Yeah,
and just because we were on its side philosophically, it doesn't inherently necessarily make it a good film.
No, exactly. And I think the other thing as well is that, obviously, I think the director-writer he plays the main character in the film, which is always a bit dodgy.
Yes.
But yeah, like in moments where that reporter woman is like rubbing herself up against him, and like is completely besotted with him, scenes like that, where I guess like it is supposed to fit in with the comedies that they're kind of pastiching. But I was just looking at scenes like that going, what are you doing? Come on now.
Yes, that's the thing. The writer-director star is the kind of joint CEO, I think, of the Daily Wire.
Yeah.
Jeremy Boring. Unfortunate surname.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they kind of made it on the fly. You know, obviously they're very productive. People are like, yeah, let's go and just make a film for a bit. The problem, it's a send-up of kind of 80s, I would say, and 90s, like sports comedies, but filmed in a very modern way. And that does take the edge off, you know?
And filmed by people that are clearly getting into that world.
Yeah, and it's... Okay, it's slightly better than I probably thought it was going to be going in, but still not really worth your time. He's better acting in it than I thought he would be.
Okay.
Considering that he's the CEO of the Daily Wire. It's kind of put together slightly better than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
But, you know, they just got money. They throw money at it, you know? So it's a bit too slick looking for the kind of film that it is.
And yet it doesn't feel... it still feels small. It still feels like a small film.
Yeah, by slick, I don't mean David Fincher. I mean kind of just... There's a bedrock of all films look a certain quality now.
Okay.
No, it's hard for a film to look, that has any money behind it to really look bad. Very few films look bad now. Like you said, we kind of have to adjust how we think about cinematography now because it's just so easy to make something look half decent. But yeah, I would agree. It's kind of, we're behind it, sort of. But they haven't done it yet. The Daily Wire has yet to make a good film.
Yeah.
The documentary was good, but they haven't made a good narrative film.
Yeah.
Okay, I put this on the list, but I think you'd agree, Maestro.
Yeah, I would absolutely agree with that.
Oscar bait.
Yeah, The film opens with a quote from Leonard Bernstein, the subject of this biopic. I think it's something like, art should leave you... It shouldn't answer questions, it should leave you with more. Or something like that.
It should
inspire questions.
It should ask questions,
Yeah, and I certainly left it with questions.
Them being...
Well, yeah, it's like...
Why did I watch this?
Yeah, why did I watch it? Yeah, I don't know. It's... I mean, weirdly, that quote is kind of the most you ever really learn about Leonard Bernstein.
Okay, that quote is one with which I agree.
Yeah.
I'm all about art asking questions, not necessarily answering them. It would take some work to put that at the beginning of your film and it not just be pretentious.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a quote that I love and I agree with it. I would never put it at the start of my film.
No.
Because I'm not 18.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with it if the film is really about that. It's really doing that. And it's not. It's just kind of like, ooh, good quote. And then the film really has no relationship to it.
Yeah, the film is his marriage.
Yeah.
With Carey Mulligan plays the wife. Which is weird because she doesn't seem to be a part of the marketing for the film, and yet she's a huge component of the film.
Yeah.
You end up kind of not really learning much about Leonard Bernstein as a person, like surface level material. But I don't know anything about his like philosophy when it came to his work or the kind of stuff that you'd hope to get out of a biopic.
Yeah. Well, Oscar bait is kind of a dying form, really. There aren't many around anymore because we're all wise to it. People, postmodern generation, everyone's kind of Anthropic Thunder kind of poked fun at those things. We know what they look like now. And this doesn't look like Oscar bait in that traditional way. It is trying to do something a bit different visually. But just the whole, he wrote it, he directed it, he starred in it, he wore a fake nose for it, it's a transformational, transformative performance. The man really wants an Oscar.
He really does.
He's not going to get one.
You shouldn't have cast Carey Mulligan in your film then.
Everyone's
just going to talk about her.
Yeah. He is up. If he wins, he'll be ridiculous and kind of out of nowhere, but he won't win. But, you can only have so much respect for a man that wants an Oscar that badly. He's been nominated, 5 or 6 times at this point? Yeah. That's good. You know?
Some people are never nominated at all.
No, exactly. And I was watching an interview with Jim Carrey, and he was talking about the Will Smith slap. But he said, it ruined kind of the night for everybody else. It's like it's the peak of their career. And he said, and the work that you have to do to be nominated for an Oscar, all the stuff the luncheons you have to go to, and the kind of the promotion. We just kind of take it as, people do these things, and then they're nominated for it. No, there are campaign. It's like a presidential race, which is kind of depressing. So it's even nicer when someone that isn't doing that gets nominated. Like, this was undeniable, you know?
Yeah.
But Bradley Cooper is deniable.
I was going to say, but Maestro is utterly deniable.
Utterly deniable. Okay, I didn't watch it. The Marvels.
Maybe you should.
No.
No?
No, I've started a thing this year, for the podcast and just for a break for me, is I'm kind of now watching every film that's of a certain, I don't know, not notoriety, not fame, that kind of passes a certain threshold.
Yeah.
That's being advertised a lot, that people are talking about, good or bad. Usually we would watch the tripe of the year and the best things. I'm kind of now watching really everything. And then there are films that just kind of fall between the cracks that no one is talking about.
Yeah.
So last year, I would have watched the Marvels.
Okay.
But if I can't retrospectively apply this rule because you know...
I do know what you're like.
Because you know what I'm like.
Yeah.
I mean, my film list, kind of when I wasn't attacking it, was about 3,000 films.
Okay.
It's now in the 600s.
Right.
So it's like... It's actually coming down, and I can't add every film to the list. So, no, I'm not going to watch the Marvels.
Okay.
I did read the plot summary on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So I'm abreast of, whatever nonsense.
Well, that's not the reason to watch the Marvels. The reason to watch the Marvels is that it's been a very long time since I've seen a film that knows it exists purely out of obligation.
Okay.
Like, it knows that it's there for 2 hours or 90 minutes or however long it runs for.
Yeah.
And it's got absolutely no idea what it's supposed to do with its time.
Right.
It's just riffing.
Okay.
And for a film of that caliber, quote unquote, with that budget,
money. Yeah.
and belonging to the biggest pop culture entity, probably
Behemoth.
at the moment, certainly within the pantheon of cinema, it was just really fascinating to watch this film go. And then they go to a planet where everyone sings, and then cats eat people.
It was like Mad Libs, was it?
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Yeah.
Especially considering that like the first Captain Marvel was like a past the billion mark, big cultural presence, and now this feels so under the radar and unimportant and unnecessary.
Well, we are kind of vacillating, as has been pointed out, but people loving Marvel and thinking it's crap. But I think overall enthusiasm seems to have died down a little bit.
Yeah.
Deadpool, I'm sure, will mark
That's the problem. Now they've kind of announced, here's all the things that we didn't own before that now we own again.
Yeah. And that look half promising, maybe.
Yeah. But like Deadpool, that's off the back of... I've got my problem with those films, but it's off the back of the success that... of the first two. Mm-hmm. All of the X-Men stuff, that's purely off the back of the early X-Men films and Hugh Jackman, and like all of this stuff has nothing to do with them.
No.
But that seems to be their strategy at the moment. Like, all of that other shit that people made when we didn't have the licenses, that's ours now.
Yeah.
Therefore, we're good again.
It's really interesting to see how the marketing has kind of spun on its heels for Marvel. Every interview you see about Madam Web, which we'll review in a couple of episodes, is them going, it's not your classic superhero movie. They write about that in a way. But in a way, they're spot on. They're wrong, I mean. But they're saying things like, it's very naturalistic, it's very grounded. Because the criticism for Quantumania, for Multiverse and Madness, for the Marvels is, it's just like colourful lights. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. So now they're being told to say, oh no, this is basically, the Dark Knight. And also like, this will refresh. This will be a resurgence of the Marvel brand, which is what everyone, keeps saying about Deadpool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like overall there's been a drop off. They have to keep churning these things out. But yeah, no, I'm not going to watch it.
Oh, okay.
But you want me to?
I guess not.
Okay.
But I do feel like you're depriving yourself of something, maybe.
Okay.
It's not good.
No.
It's fascinating in how not good it is.
Okay. All right. Mutual one, Meg 2, The Trench.
Oh, I really had high hopes for this one.
Is this the biggest disappointment of the year?
For different reasons than Dream Scenario.
Yes.
We knew the Meg 2 was not going to be good. We hoped it would be fun.
Yeah. Well, Ben Wheatley directed it.
Yeah.
Now, Ben Wheatley's he's not as good as he used to be.
Okay.
But he's a really interesting, weird director.
Okay.
And him taking on this was a big, okay. And we have to stop doing that, because we have that reaction whenever an indie director is given a big project, and ultimately they are just absorbed by the studio system. I don't know whether he's proud of the film, whether it's what he wanted to do, but he clearly took it, well, paycheck, but also I can have a lot of fun with this. And it's the film like Sharknado, where, okay, it's balls out stupid.
Yeah.
It's kind of throwing everything at the audience. And even if it was bad, at least it could be fun. And it doesn't even try to be fun.
No.
Until the last 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of stupid, but in the wrong ways.
Yeah, well, it's dull.
Yeah, it's dull. And it feels like it is trying to tell a story.
Yeah.
Not that it has anything to say. It's just like, oh, we're making like a Hollywood action film. This is the kind of story that they have. We'll do that. The copy that we watched, because we didn't watch this legitimately.
No, we didn't.
The copy that we watched didn't have translations for the Chinese for the Chinese speaking parts.
No, yeah, that's right.
So we invented the dialogue in those moments, and that was the most fun we had watching the film.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it started off as an earnest attempt to kind of figure out what was going on. I think we were doing a half good job.
Yeah.
Then it became a lot more fun to make it up.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So this one's yours, one I didn't see again. Old Dads.
Yeah. Okay. I like Bill Burr.
As do I.
I like Bill Burr a lot. I think he's one of the best comedians working today, and I think that he will be sorely missed when his time comes. I hope that he'll kind of like George Carlin and all those. Like, I hope that people will discover him after he's gone and be like, oh wow, he really was.
Sure.
He was a talent. You know. He shouldn't make any more films.
No. Yeah, it doesn't often translate well.
It feels like. And I, it's not just him that's guilty of this. I feel like other comedians that have made films have fallen into the same trap before.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a film. It feels like a section of a stand-up routine stretched to a feature-length film.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it was Bill Burr, it was Bobby Cannavale, it was Bokeem Woodbine.
Yeah, promising cast.
Promising cast, talented people. And it just, it just wasn't there. I didn't like as well, because like it's Bill Burr, so a big part of the film is, oh, he's really angry. And another trap that he kind of falls into is that, like, at the end of the film, the lesson he learns is to not be angry or to control his anger. And I think something happens, like someone throws a newspaper in his face or something.
Okay.
And he controls his anger. He doesn't like shout at the guy. Like, that's not the right lesson, I don't think. You know, if someone throws a newspaper in your face, you're not in the wrong for getting angry at them.
It depends how angry you
get. Yeah, you could overreact.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you, like, beat the shit out of the guy, like, okay. But, I don't know, it's just, it feels like the kind of simplicity that you would get in, like, a children's show.
Yeah, it's not a sophisticated resolution for an adult film.
Yeah.
I agree.
Exactly, yeah. It's not a case of, like, oh, you know, we had the gradations of anger, you have to... It's, oh, don't be angry.
Like, don't be angry at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, anger is bad. Like, very seldom does anything good come from anger. But, and repressed anger is different than getting over anger.
Well, yeah, because that's the thing that he's going to have to start dealing with at some point.
One makes you Buddha and one gives you cancer.
Yeah.
So, No, it didn't really interest me. I mean, all of these trajectories are kind of modelled after Woody Allen. You know, he was really the first major comedian that was really good at stand-up and was a really good filmmaker.
Yeah.
And, you know, the generations of comics that are influenced by him. And very few can pull it off. Louis C.K. hasn't made a good film. He's made great TV.
Yeah.
But he hasn't made a good film. So, yeah, there is an art to it. But, you know, you get to a certain level of success and someone says, do you want $50 million to make a film?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, stand-up is a whole different thing.
Yeah.
It's just a whole different sphere than filmmaking.
The mechanism of telling a story is completely different in stand-up.
Yeah.
It doesn't translate. And
it's call and response.
Yeah.
You know,
and
a big part of it.
And I don't know if this is just something that, like, comedians don't know when they kind of transition across mediums, or whether, you know, it's just a case of, like, oh, well, I'm funny on stage. It makes sense that this would be funny over here.
Yeah, I think a large part of the time as well, stand-up's obviously irreverent. And they're insincere a lot of the time. So, and, you know, so whatever context they're in, there's kind of an obligation to be funny or undercut.
Yeah.
If you're a comic's in a very serious setting, they will usually, you know, try and undermine it in some way. And so when all of a sudden they have to make something that has a sincere message at its heart, it can often ring false.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was the case with Old Dads. But, you know, I mean, the resolution in life, of course, it's healthy, but the resolution of a film being you gotta not be so angry anymore. It's the kind of thing that Bill Burr would say, what are you, a fag?
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly, yeah.
So, yeah, okay. Mutual one. We're not going to talk about it a lot because we're going to review it in the future.
Yes.
Not the next episode, in the future.
Yeah.
We gave ourselves an out, didn't we? Rebel Moon Part 1, A Child of Fire.
Yeah.
And we're going to review it when the next one comes out, which is actually, by the time you're listening to this, I think it might be out.
It probably will be out. And we're going to keep... So long as...
We're joining the Snyder bandwagon. We're petitioning for him to make more Rebel Moons, so we never have to get around to reviewing them.
Yeah, so long as he keeps announcing Rebel Moons, we'll keep delaying.
Yeah.
So that we have the full story.
We'll do it when it's over. Yeah. And hopefully we die before before he does. So, okay, but it's shit. Saltburn. This is another mutual one. A big mutual one.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame that we never got the chance to do a proper review of this.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot to dive into here.
Especially considering its inexplicable popularity.
Yeah, I wouldn't have said that this is the type of film... admittedly, I'm not that certain of my sister's taste in films. But this is absolutely not a film that I would have recommended to her, and yet she really enjoyed it. And I feel like she's of the demographic that have most... resonated with Saltburn.
Yeah, young women.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%.
What's up with that, Sam?
I think it's because Jacob Elordi has kind of become a matinee idol.
Okay.
I think it's they fancy him.
Right.
And the whole kind of part of the premise of the film is he's kind of the main character's sort of in love with him in a kind of twisted way.
Yeah.
And what did you say? You saw a comment like, oh, finally a film that...
Oh, yeah, I saw a Letterboxd review. It was something along the lines of, finally a film about Jacob Elordi being so hot that it literally drives someone insane.
Right, so I think that's resonating with...
Yeah.
And the fact that it's like a little bit... It's supposed to be, in a way, like quite disturbing, and it's a bit off and a bit weird, and that kind of obsessive, toxic, modern love kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's from the same person that did Promising Young Woman, Emerald Fennell, so there's kind of a carryover of the feminist sort of... oh, we'll follow her career sort of thing. But yeah, there are films like Oppenheimer and Barbie that were just successful at the box office. Then there are Oscar-y movies like Killers of the Flower Moon that people know about because of their prestige and the fact that they're up for awards.
Yeah.
Saltburn does not rise to that level. It has been nominated for awards, but this is kind of like, it's the film on the outer fringes of the awards of that year, which it didn't quite make the cut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But it's like hit TikTok and meme culture hard.
Okay.
Murder on the Dance Floor, which is played at the end of the film,
sequence,
is the song that was performed at the BAFTAs as the song of that year.
Okay.
The performance of that year. I think there's an element as well of kind of revisiting and revising our opinions on shit songs. Okay. So, like 80s nostalgia, hair metal and everything. It's kind of, it's so inane and innocuous now that we can go back to it and kind of enjoy it, sort of, even though it was terrible at the time.
Yeah.
And the same thing is sort of happening now with boy bands from the 90s and songs like that, where enough time has passed that we can kind of ironically
would you say
enjoy
that Running Up That Hill kind of falls into that camp?
Well, no, because that would fall in the category of good song.
Oh, right, okay.
But that sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Or Rasputin. Or that, by Boney M.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. I met like an 18-year-old and we ended up talking about that and he knew it. And I said, you're 18, like, how do you know?
What business do you have?
Basically, yeah.
Knowing this song.
I'm too young, really, for that song. Yeah. But, like, you're definitely on. He said, oh, it was, like, trending on TikTok.
Okay.
It's like, okay.
Right.
So it is kind of weird that it's sort of slipped into mainstream culture. Like, everyone I know, every young woman especially, is big on the film. I think for a lot of Generation Z, it might be their first exposure to a film that's kind of pushing the boundaries, quote unquote.
Sort of like Joker was for character psychodrama.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you love Joker, you probably haven't seen Taxi Driver or The King of Comedy. And, we all need our gateway, but it just, some of us are fortunate enough that, like, my gateway to adult cinema was Mystic River.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you get into it, you find out about the history of film and you go back and you watch them. And so when you end up watching Joker, you give it the middle finger. But yeah, it's not this film is kind of a throwback or anything, but I think there are parts of the film that if you're 16, 17 and kind of maybe just you're taking media studies, you kind of go, ooh.
Right.
I haven't seen anything like that before.
Yeah.
And if you're us, when you get the sequence where Barry Keoghan is slurping up the cummy bathwater, you just roll your eyes and you go, for God's sake. Grow up.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about it. I felt like, ooh, trying to shock me, are you?
Yeah. Ooh. But I think my problem with it is, like, okay, you want that scene to be shocking, fine.
Yeah.
But it's too much of an overshoot given where it comes in the film.
Yeah.
Spoilers?
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, end of the film. But Barry, I guess we have to premise it. This is not a review. We're not doing a proper review of it. But yeah, basically at the end, like, Barry Keoghan, he ends up going to, like, stay at Jacob Elordi's family's estate. They're a rich family. The estate's called Saltburn. Weird things start happening while he's there. Eventually people start dying, and the big reveal at the end of the film is it was Barry Keoghan all along.
Ostensibly, it's the big reveal, yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah,
it's treated like it's a big reveal to the character, but it's also treated as a big reveal to the audience.
Yes.
And if you're an audience member who has presumably been watching Saltburn with your eyes and listening to it with your ears and processing it with your brain, you go, yeah?
Yeah. And?
Yeah. And then the film ends and you go, no, what? Because, 40 minutes in, I think it is, he drinks that cummy bath water.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be the first big, like, ooh, there's something kind of fucked up about this guy. But you just end up kind of going, oh, well, he's just insane. So when he, 10 minutes later starts eating out a girl on her period, you just go, well, yeah.
But we've had this conversation.
And then when he has sex with the grave, you're like, well, yeah. And then at the end of the film, when that big reveal happens, you go, well, yeah.
Okay, it's juvenile attempts to be shocking because, I mean, fucking the grave kind of fits it as well, but at least two of those three are ick factors. It's gross out.
Yeah.
But in terms of eating out the girl who's on her period, we've had this conversation. That is not something that puts one in the category of pervert weirdo. I mean, that's kind of, I wouldn't say an ongoing debate.
Yeah.
But it's a topic of conversation of, is that something that you do? And I don't know whether it's 50-50, but it's not like eating out a girl on her period is such a weird thing. Like, men do it.
But it happens. Yeah.
It happens.
It's not to everyone's liking.
No, but like,
it
is or it isn't. It's like spit or swallow kind of thing. You know?
Yeah.
So yeah, following the cum incident, it's a bit vanilla.
Yeah.
Strawberry vanilla.
Oh, God.
See, now I'm doing what she's doing. I'm just trying to gross you out. But also it's... Cherry vanilla.
Closer to cherry in colour,
because it's popped.
Ah, there you go.
There you go.
I didn't think of that.
It's... and also it's strange that, one of the preeminent feminist filmmakers of that generation, along with Greta Gerwig, is portraying eating out a girl in a period as an act of kind of untowardness and weirdness. Do you know what I mean? Whereas, like, another feminist director would go, hey, he's a good bloke.
Yeah, what a noble thing to do.
He's a man, he respects women. It's not like, it's not disgusting, it's a period. But no, when he does it, you're meant to go, ugh.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I just found that a bit strange. But it's just anticlimactic because the twist of the film is that, okay, so it's about this kid, uni student that goes to this manor house. Oh, they're going to be weird. Yeah. And they're going to turn out to be cannibals or serial killers, or it's going to be some class satire like Get Out. Obviously, that was more racial satire, but it's going to be that sort of thing. But the twist is, it's him. But that twist comes, like you said, kind of at the start of Act 2, really. Yeah. Now, there are occasions where a character's discovery of information that you already know is powerful. Breaking Bad, Hank. The Shield, where he confesses to killing. Powerful moments. But not in a film, not in the context of this film, certainly. We know it's not a big body blow when Rosamund Pike finds out.
Yeah. It would be if the film then went on to do something with that.
Yeah.
But that's the last 5 minutes. It doesn't do anything with that.
Yeah, I hated it.
Yeah. I did get a little bit of joy out of watching Richard E. Grant get very excited that he gets to wear a suit of armour to the costume
yeah,
party.
well, Richard E. Grant,
Yeah.
You always like him.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And Rosamund Pike, we always like.
Yeah, she's great in it.
Hate Jacob Elordi.
Okay.
I hate it. He's not a bad actor.
Is this just because he's attractive and young? Are you being that person right now?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, you admitted it. There you go.
I mean...
I got no comeback for it.
I mean, yeah, but there are young, attractive actors that I like. So it's not just that. There's something else, but I don't quite know what it is.
Okay.
But now I'm thinking about it, I feel like I don't like young, attractive male actors, and I do like young, attractive female actors.
All right.
But that would be cause enough to hate them as well. Because I can't have them. You know. So but I quite like Sydney Sweeney. I really like Katie Spaney. I don't like Jacob Elordi. I don't like Austin Butler.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Callum Turner. So yeah, maybe it is just that jealousy thing. One of yours, Silent Night.
Yes. Sam,
Yes.
what would you want out of a hypothetical John Woo action movie set around Christmas?
I would want Face Off at Christmas.
Okay. How about
Yeah.
a 90-minute film where the action doesn't start until the 60-minute mark?
No, I wouldn't want that.
Okay, well, that's what you get.
Okay.
That's what we have now.
Okay.
Yeah, Silent Night, the main premise is it's basically, what if John Woo did a John Wick movie with no dialogue? And it was set at
So
Christmas.
the title came first. And that,
Probably.
that gave the premise.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, the first third of the film is just him being really sad that his son is dead. Then it's him training to kill the people that killed his son. And then the last half hour is him killing people that killed his son, or didn't even kill his son at some point. I think he just starts killing them.
Adjacent to son murderers.
Yeah, but by that point, you're so exhausted by it that you just get no pleasure from anything. Like, I don't remember any of the action. I don't even know if it was good. If it was a good John Wick pastiche.
John Wick, the first film, is a pastiche. The film about the guy that lives on his own, his wife has died, either has a kid or a dog, and the dog or the kid is killed. That's for time immemorial. There have been films made about that.
But kind of like going back to sort of point you were making about Saltburn, because of when the generation
No, I agree.
gap is, John Wick is the starting point for a lot of people.
I agree. Yeah, well, it's a shame because John Woo, he had a kind of string of well put together, well choreographed action films in the 90s. His trademarks being slow motion, balletic gunplay, bullet time. They made Stranglehold, that game is kind of based on it.
Yeah.
And doves flying. Kind of hard boiled face off. Yeah, he was a decent action director. And then he kind of went back to Hong Kong and has been making historical epics, but like kind of Chinese military engagements and stuff like that. But now he's come back to the West to make films again because the strength of the script, Silent Night, as such. I don't know. It's just a shame that this is his big comeback, and I wouldn't have known.
No,
I wouldn't have known it was a John Woo film from seeing the trailer.
Oh, the trailer makes no secret of the fact that it's a John Woo film.
Don't even remember.
Okay,
but just from the footage I've seen, it seems like every generic action film.
Yeah.
Okay. Again, I haven't seen it. Strays.
Right. Okay. There must be at least one good talking dog movie, right?
As in, there exists in the universe the possibility, or there already exists one?
There already exists one.
Not that I know of.
How have we come this far as a species and not made a good talking dog movie? It's a dog! Yeah, There's so little work to be done to make the dog...
I have a theory on this, though.
Okay.
It's gilding the lily. A dog is enough without needing to talk.
Okay.
A dog is already awesome enough. Like, oh my god, a dog that can talk.
Do you remember...
It's like putting sugar on your Mars bar.
Right, okay. I was going to say, I mean, we brought it up in the Sonic 2 review. We've now seen the trailer for the Knuckles miniseries. Yeah. And they've brought that dog back, and they've put him in a Viking helmet.
I know.
And they know that that's enough.
Yeah.
And I resent them for knowing that that's enough.
Yeah, exactly. And it is enough. I mean, there are films about talking dogs that we like.
Yeah.
Well, a film anyway, Cats and Dogs.
Yeah, the pinnacle.
The quintessential talking dog, evil cat movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's, Alec Baldwin. That as a dog, that is good.
That is good.
It's not a good film though, is it? I mean, are we talking about films that are enjoyable or genuinely?
Well, that's the thing. I don't know.
Film? Can you imagine leaving a film about talking dogs going, "Oh, that was really good."
I hope it gets nominated for the Oscar. That's the thing. I don't know if a talking dog film needs to be two talking dog movies what The Last of Us is to video game movies.
Right.
I don't know if that genre needs to evolve that much. It's just baffling to me that, watching Strays, it's like, wow, we still haven't cracked this.
But that's an adult talking dog movie, right?
That's the thing.
It's like Sausage Party.
Yeah, it's got... for some people, it's got an edge in the sense that it's allowed to be R-rated. So it's not just talking dogs, it's swearing dogs.
Yeah, I think a lot of the time restrictions help, right?
Yeah.
So like, oh, it's talking dogs, and they swear, and they probably smoke pot. Do anyone get high? Mushrooms or acid?
Yeah,
or something?
yeah,
Okay.
they take mushrooms at one point.
Sex.
Yeah, well, so this is the thing. Like, an adult talking dog movie, as in R-rated talking dog movie, there's a little bit of glee in watching a dog swear once, maybe twice.
Yeah, sure.
There is nothing to gain from watching talking dogs be sexual with each other.
Not unless, because you've described this to me.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm a prude.
Well, who knows?
Yeah, okay.
No, I'd say, like, but the way you described it to me, it's kind of just sexual, and the joke being that they're just being sexual in a very upfront way, but they're talking dogs. It's not like they're being all dog about it. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's just...
They're just fill me with your cum and stuff like that.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. It's just standard dirty talk. And, like, one could argue that it's serving the purpose of the scene. Because in that particular... I mean, there's loads of instances throughout the film, but in that particular scene, they're in the impound. It's that scene of the film. And the keys are on the opposite wall from their jail cell.
Yeah.
And they need something long and hard to unhook the keys.
Big as this dog's dick.
Well, that's the thing. They're like, oh, if we make your erection big enough, you can unhook the keys. Right. So this female dog they've been traveling with that he fancies is then, she's like, oh, I want you inside me. And
that makes me feel sick.
Yeah.
A dog, that genuinely makes... I said nothing about gilding the lily.
Yeah.
It's like a dog is enough, so when it has all these extra accoutrements on there, it's too much. I think maybe that was their philosophy of... Oh, it's already a dog being sexual. Yeah. So if we make it like funny dog sexual as well, it's too much.
Okay.
Just like a baby swearing is funny. It doesn't have to be colourful in its swearing.
Yeah.
So we'll just have the dogs be sexual. That's enough. But that's just gross.
Yeah.
Like, I want you inside. Oh my god, that really makes me feel ill. What breed of dog?
That's the thing. It's a nice breed of dog as well. It's I don't know what breed it is, but it's like it's a long-haired breed, so it's a nice groomed dog.
Seriously,
it's not like a ratty little chihuahua or something. Yeah.
Seriously, how big is this dog's dick supposed to be?
Well, it's
it has girth.
Yeah,
but how long would it have to be to get through?
Well, I guess that's the punchline of the scene, because there's a wide shot where you see the erection.
Ah, okay.
And it's nowhere
cuts to a wide of just
Yeah, it's nowhere.
But how would they even
sufficient?
If they can talk, they have enough sentience and they have personalities, presumably. They must know that his dick cannot possibly be long enough to...
Well, I think you've already hit the point where you're thinking about it more than the writers.
Okay, all right. Ready to move on then?
Oh, God, yeah.
Okay, another mutual one. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that I was, excited for this.
Yeah.
But I'm always on board for this new kind of subgenre of film, which is films made by people who've clearly watched Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Puss in Boots: The Last Wish being another big example of that. And the thing that I really liked about that film is that they didn't just look at it and go, oh, unique animation, let's do that. They actually, knew that, okay, it's not just the quality of the animation, it's the fact that this is, a character study almost.
Yeah.
About the legacy that character carries, the difficulty he has living up to that. Let's do a story about that.
Yeah.
And Mutant Mayhem hasn't learnt that lesson. It's just unique animation style.
I think it's very rare that clones end up surpassing the original thing.
Yeah.
Which is counterintuitive, because you think, we build on that.
Yeah.
I don't think any of these films is going to be better than Into the Spider-Verse.
No.
Across the Spider-Verse is not as good as Into the Spider-Verse. It's, we've reached this kind of new place in animation, and now it's let's really go 110% on it.
Yeah.
And that's overdoing it a lot of the time. I mean, for me, Pixar, it's always between Toy Story and The Incredibles. But in some fundamental way, nothing was ever better than Toy Story. The original Toy Story. It's just rare, Yeah. And this is kind of a watered down... It's also a very young film.
Yeah, I think it has... I know that we're rapidly approaching our 30s. We are no longer the youth of today. But I still feel comfortable saying that this film has possibly the worst dialogue of the year.
It's incredibly trendy, and it's the kind of if you're not of that generation, you have to tune your frequency to it.
Yeah,
it makes me understand why anyone over a certain age didn't like Scott Pilgrim. It's just too much for them,
Yeah,
and it was too much for me. And Across the Spider-Verse, I liked it, but that was a struggle for me as well, to be honest.
Okay,
there's just too much stuff.
Yeah,
too much.
Well, I mean that's not fair because, like, as we said in our review, Across the Spider-Verse is the most animated film of all time.
Yeah, I know, but it's the whole everything everywhere all at once philosophy of like stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's bad. Like I like it, but burnout.
Yeah.
You can easily get burned out from it, and you don't want that.
No.
Yeah, just the way they talk in Turtles, it's just the kind of talk that I loathe.
Yeah.
That I really hate.
Yeah, uber colloquial.
Yeah.
Like, stop. Like, even though they're turtles living in the sewer, they're still making, like, incredibly contemporary references and talking about the kind of things that, like, any youth with a TikTok account would make and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And, like, I like the idea that they've got actual teenagers to play the characters, and I like that they kind of leaned into it, and it feels like they've kind of prioritized authenticity a little bit over just making the characters, like, cookie cutter and likable.
Well, that's kind of a new big thing as well, is appropriate age casting. It started with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
It was always the case.
Well, I mean, Stranger Things, probably, right?
I guess, but yeah, I mean, it was always the case that in Greece and stuff, they were in their 30s.
Yes.
Yeah, that's just the way it was done.
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire, I don't know how old he was, but he wasn't.
No.
17 or 18, however old he's supposed to be. So, but I think in film, Tom Holland was the big shift there. And I'm okay with that. It does mean they're very young, though.
They are very young.
Like, one of the voices is Jimmy Darmody's son in Boardwalk Empire.
Oh, right,
The little boy Tommy.
Yeah.
He's a kid to me.
Yeah.
Like, he is little boy Tommy to me. So that's a bit uncomfortable.
Well, I saw... I didn't really watch Stranger Things past the first season, but I saw a recent picture of Millie Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
I was like, oh...
Yeah.
Oh no. Oh, she's getting married. Oh no.
Oh no, she's now out of Drake's fuck. Yeah.
It's fuck window.
It's fuck zone, yes, fuck window.
I like fuck zone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like fuck window as well. Because I like the idea that when you leave it, you're defenestrated. She's defenestrated the fuck window.
I guess at the very least now, you know, Spider-Verse is the gold standard and Mutant Mayhem is the cautionary tale. Like, we now have parameters that this genre can operate in.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And final film, The Wrath of Becky.
Yeah. A weird little franchise this is turning into.
Yeah.
What would you characterize as? Like, films about a young girl fighting a radical right-wing ideology group.
Yes.
Spearheaded by a comic actor known for mediocre projects in, like, the 90s.
In the noughties, 90s, yeah.
You had Kevin James as a Nazi leader. Now
now trying to do a Bryan Cranston.
Yeah. And now in this one we've got Sean William Scott playing like an American, like, you know,
I can't even remember
immigrants and shit like that.
I can't remember what he is, but they're all like in that kind of same stew pot of like Proud Boys, alt-right, Make America Great Again, Hitlerian Nazis, all the same thing, you know. Yes, it is a strange little franchise, and I don't know who's watching it.
No.
I don't know anyone else who's watching it.
Yeah.
But there's a third one coming, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just kind of nothing, you know?
I want to see what becomes of it.
Yeah, it is curious to follow it.
Yeah. And I think they know, because the end of the first film, she has a key that she takes from the Nazis, and she has no idea what it does.
Yeah.
And at the end of this film, she still has no idea what the key does.
Do you reckon it opens the Ark of the Covenant? Like at the end of Raiders, that's where this is going. Modern day Nazis.
Yeah. All right-wingers will disintegrate upon its being opened.
Yeah, the spirits of, like, Harriet Tubman and Ruth Bader Ginsburg will look them in the eye and they'll just face melt. Yeah, it's a bizarre little thing.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine that it's successful, but it's successful enough to justify that they keep doing it.
Still going.
So we'll see. Okay, TV.
Right.
This is basically all you.
Oh, okay.
Because I try to stay away from bad TV.
Yeah, maybe I should pay more attention to what you're watching and just watch that.
Okay, so unless otherwise noted, this is Jordan.
Okay.
Agent Elvis. Season 1.
I mean, this is just a perfect example of how inappropriate the term adult animation is for a lot of animation that is geared towards like a plus 18 audience.
Yeah.
This is so juvenile and pathetic.
Yeah.
I've absolutely no idea how it has the endorsement of the Presley estate.
Right. Yeah.
Because I think they're involved in it. I think they're like
I think
producers.
so. I think you're right. Yeah, Lisa Marie Presley.
And while I guess that like, Elvis is kind of treated okay. You know, he's voiced by Matthew McConaughey, and he's cool and he's suave and all that sort of stuff. You know, there's like, he's got a sidekick who's a chimp that keeps like smoking drugs and having sex, and there's all of this like insane shit happening. And it's like this is so...
Again, it's like when you're 18.
Yeah.
You go to uni and you have to write something.
Well, that's why it's so inappropriate, is because, yeah, like, ostensibly it's for an adult audience because it's got sex and drugs and violence and all that kind of stuff. But only young teenagers would find any joy in this.
There are very few things that are dubbed adult in the world of animation that actually are. There are some children's films, nominally, that are actually for adults. Pixar's early films are also for adults.
Yeah.
WALL-E is for adults.
Ratatouille.
Ratatouille is for adults. The Incredibles is for adults. I Can't Lose You Again.
Yeah.
It's rare that you get a film that is for a certain age audience that's also adult. Anomalisa would be one. I wasn't a major fan of that, but that's not for kids.
No.
At all, you know. But it does have a kind of puerile punchline which ruined the whole film for me.
Yeah.
But still, it's rare. Yeah, most adult comedy is like, oh, it's a dog that smokes pot and eats Cheetos and masturbates.
Yeah.
You know, and watches trippy things on the TV and just talks with his human friend.
Yeah.
Who always wears a hat and has messy hair.
Yeah.
It's like Shaggy and Scooby-Doo, but like...
Yeah.
When they're off, you know?
Yeah, and whenever I see shows like... Because there's so... Most adult animations are that.
Yeah.
Like, your BoJack Horsemans are a rarity where they actually deal with very adult themes.
Yeah, they're about something.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, I think it's kind of... It's springboarded off the podcast boom. But Duncan Trussell had that show, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you feel like that is literally a podcast. But I mean, just the fact that a lot of us now, we sit down and listen to 4 hours of Joe Rogan shooting the shit. People are trying to do that as adult animated series. Of people just kind of smoking and just kind of talking about weird things. And...
I mean, maybe, because, like, yeah, you think of what adult animation used to be. It was The Simpsons and Family Guy and South Park.
Right.
And those shows have never been that.
No.
Like, even in Family Guy's most edgiest moments, quote unquote, even in South Park's edgiest moments, it never does stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if it does, it's for effect or to make a point. And somewhere along the way, it just devolved into, a monkey jerking off while smoking a blunt. And I'm just watching it going, are you quite done?
Yeah, it's the it's the podcast, like, tech bro, social media generation of comedy, isn't it? Okay. Animal Control.
If you're making a sitcom, a modern day sitcom as well, where the premise necessitates that you're going to be around animals a lot, don't use CGI animals.
Yeah. I think that's more expensive. I mean, it depends
possibly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's difficult to wrangle real, especially animals that, because it's people working in an animal control company, so they're around dangerous animals quite a bit. But fucking even just using puppets would be better.
Well, it's kind of like if you make a show about animal control where animals are going to figure into every episode, you kind of have to build the show and the budget around that.
Yeah,
it's like, okay, this is allotted for the tiger that we're going to have in this episode or whatever it is. It's like you put all that money into it, so then you pull back on everything else. If you're making a show called Boardwalk Empire, you're going to have to bite the bullet and build a boardwalk.
Yeah.
You know, and then like everything else sets or whatever. But you're going to have to build a boardwalk.
Yeah. They're going to spend a lot of time on that boardwalk.
We can't keep like shooting around it or doing green screen. Let's just we put all the money into the boardwalk thing and then we cut back elsewhere.
Yeah.
And so, yes, if you're doing a show called Animal Control, I mean, how bad is the CG as well? We're talking network sitcom.
Budget.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks it, right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what animals are in this show?
Like jaguars. There's a cow at one point. Birds.
Really hard to get a cow on that film.
In fairness, I think the cow is real. Because the joke of that episode is that these college, what are they called? Like, I'm in Epsilon.
Fraternities.
Fraternity, yeah. Fraternity have walked this cow upstairs and now they can't get it down.
Right, okay.
So I think it's a real cow. But yeah, like obviously the jaguar is not real and stuff like that. And yeah, I get that there's, like I said, there's health and safety concerns and, how many trained jaguars do they really have lying around the place?
Yeah, but then don't do a show called Animal Control.
Yeah. Like I said, it's a comedy. Have like something stylized that would enhance the humor. Like puppets.
Yeah, like go the
Or
Mighty Boosh way.
people
Like,
in animal costumes that are supposed to be real animals.
yes, exactly. Go a
Yeah.
bit weird with it. I mean, I think, but if they'd suggested anything like that on a network, they would have gone, no way.
No, all they had to say was, "Oh, Joel McHale is on board,"
Yeah.
and they went, "Sold." Give us
Yeah, but if
12
they'd said,
episodes.
but the animals are going to be people in suits, and we're not going to address that, it's just
Yeah.
going to, they would have gone, no. Well, that's way too weird for network.
Okay.
But yeah, like Mighty Boosh sort of did like papier-mâché animals. Like,
Yeah.
some weird just drawings, like crude drawings.
Yeah.
Or you never see the animals. That's the kind of gimmick. He's always going out to do things, and then we see, when he comes back to the office or whatever, animal control actually refers to the people in the office.
Okay.
But you never actually see the animals he's going off to catch.
Yeah, I
you
mean-
see the result of his encounters with them.
Yeah, I mean, that would be disappointing in its
No,
own way.
I'm not
but
saying that's shit, but it's a way of
Yeah.
doing it. Done?
yeah, don't watch it.
No, okay. So this is a mutual one, Boiling Point.
Yes, we are both massive fans of the film,
Yeah.
are we not?
We are.
We don't like the show, do we not?
We don't.
No. The show doesn't really have Stephen Graham in it.
No.
And it's not in one take.
No, they promise that. at the
Yeah,
beginning.
the first quarter of the first episode, they do it in one take, and then it just becomes a conventionally filmed fare. I think even though it's only 2 changes, because it's the same story, it's the same characters, all that, they carry a lot over from the film. Already, we're kind of asking the question: well, what is Boiling Point?
Right.
If not Stephen Graham and legitimately filmed in one take.
It's just that weird thing of, a British film's been successful, let's now do a TV series of it. Sexy Beast. They really capitalise on the momentum of Sexy Beast. But you know what I mean? Boiling Point is not we will often have discussions, you and I, okay, what does a James Bond film need? What can you not get away with, leaving out? Boiling Point is not that kind of thing.
No.
Boiling Point is the film that it is.
Yeah.
And then go, so what is a Boiling Point TV series? The only thing that would be on that list is, it's one takes.
Yeah.
And they don't do it.
No.
The thing that I liked about the film a lot was the suggestion of stories and lives outside of the kind of the central thrust of what was going on. Like, he's cutting his wrists and his mother sees it, and you're like, okay, there's a whole rich life there that I don't get to see. But now they're doing those stories.
That's the thing. The problem is they now have a TV show, so they now have the time to tell those stories. And it turns out that once they tell those stories, we know the characters just as much as when we only saw a glimpse into their lives.
Not as interesting. And in the finale of Boiling Point, it kind of focuses on a character that's not really that major.
It's so bizarre, yeah, because it's 4 episodes. So it's not even a proper, it's 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And I've had this conversation with you off the air. Are we reaching a point now in television where there's just so much out there that nobody can schedule it properly?
Yeah. That's part of it.
Because we're getting shows that are 3 episodes long or 4 episodes long, or you're getting shows like Grimsburg, which came out, I think it was something like the first week of January. The first episode came out. Second episode came out end of February.
Right.
What are you, the Funfiltered podcast?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's so, they just can't schedule things correctly anymore, it seems.
Yeah, it used to be a charity extended only to shows that were very highly acclaimed and were watched by a lot of people.
Yeah.
Succession, for instance. I know that's modern, but they were 2 years between seasons. The Sopranos mostly stuck to a season a year, but they had 1 or 2 year gaps.
Yeah.
It's we need a bit more time. Yeah, you have it. You're the Sopranos. But now it seems like anything is kind of, Yeah. Okay. I don't know. I will always champion the artist kind of having a say over their process and everything. But also, back to the thing with Strays, restrictions are good.
Yeah.
Just get on with it. Just make we're watching The Good Wife. That was on 22, 23 episodes a year consecutively.
Yeah.
The West Wing, until he left, the quality never dropped. It's just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You're gonna want to go back and rewrite it, but fuck it, it's done.
Yeah.
Just put it out there,
But
So that is a shame.
it's only 4 episodes long, and I think it's the 3rd episode even. So the
it's the 3rd, is it?
No, what you were talking about,
okay,
that is the 4th episode. In the 3rd episode, they introduce another sous chef, an American, who takes a bit of fancy to the French chef that they've got there. And he kind of oversteps his boundaries once or twice, and that's kind of interfering with the flow of the kitchen. And me being me, I look at that and go, this is going to be the final episode. This is the big finale that they're building to. Something that starts off very small and personal, but ends up poisoning the ecosystem that all of the characters live in. And that's what your big finale is going to be about. And the finale is about a girl who shits herself.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with this guy.
Yeah.
It's so strange. It's like
they
ran out of episodes.
Incidentally.
Sorry?
Played by Stephen Ogg, incidentally.
Oh yeah, not the girl who shits herself. Yeah.
That would be a
yeah, that would be an achievement. Yeah,
yeah, and again, he's in it. You're like, okay, I don't know. It's meant to be a surprise, obviously.
Yeah,
but it's such like a. I mean, I don't know why he's in it, but it feels like such a throwback to the days where, you know, like Hot Fuzz. They say in the commentary, the amount of times that you'll get, you know, a producer will come up to them and say, "Can we have like a funny American sidekick?" Just to, you know, to appeal to the American audience as they see it.
New.
Yeah, new. Norp.
Norp.
You know, he's the villain in Knuckles, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What trajectory has his life gone on?
Well,
let's take him from Hot Fuzz to Knuckles.
Well, Hot Fuzz to Game of Thrones.
Okay.
To Knuckles. Yeah. Weird one. But yeah, it feels like that kind of thing. Like, oh, can we get an American in it so we can sell it to Americans? And, you know, Trevor from Grand Theft Auto is going to be in it. And I don't know. Yeah, it was just a disappointment. The Continental.
Yeah, so I think one of the reasons that I was fine not doing a worst 10 of the year is that even with all of the shit TV that I've watched, there's shit television that I haven't touched that I know without a shadow of a doubt is amongst the worst of the year.
Yes.
Secret Invasion, The Idol, Velma. I could barely make it through the trailers for those shows. Yeah. There was no way I was going to actually watch those shows.
Without having watched it, we're kind of in agreement that Velma's probably the worst TV show of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. But I'm not going to give it the satisfaction of making me angry when watching it. And so, in their absence, I declare The Continental from the world of John Wick is the worst TV show of the year.
Okay.
It made me angry how bored I was watching this.
Yeah.
It's 3 episodes long, so that's why I dipped into it, because I was like, it was only 3 episodes. What I didn't know is these were 90-minute episodes. And what I also didn't know is not only was the show making all of the same mistakes that the John Wick films make, it wasn't getting the stuff right that the John Wick films get right. So it was just a fucking slog. It was so... I couldn't believe it watching it. Because like the idea of doing a show about the Continental, which is what I thought it was.
There's something there.
There's something there. You can do like, you know, the day they built the hotel. Each episode could be... Because as we learned in John Wick 4, there is not one Continental. That's the name of the chain.
Right. Yeah.
So first episode could be the Continental in New York. Then the second one could be the Continental in Japan. And you tell the story of that universe. Because that's one thing John Wick has always kind of done well is imply its universe. It's added too much detail now.
It's kind of fashioned after the comic book thing, isn't it? I mean, a lot of things do that now.
Yeah.
A lot of kind of, it's this hotel, it's these class of assassins, it's kind of things that are designed to be iconographic.
Yeah.
You know.
But it doesn't do that. It's a Winston origin story.
Oh, okay. So we're getting 2 Ian McShane character origin stories.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
But it's almost it's not even that, because when we meet him, he's already rich and basically the Winston that we know. It's how he gained control of the Continental from Mel Gibson.
Okay.
And yeah, you just kind of end up going, well, okay, this is just a John Wick film that doesn't have John Wick in it.
Yeah.
And also there are these people that fought in Vietnam, and there are these, you know, there's these black people that they're disgruntled about the way the world is at the moment, and there's this cop who was killed by, or her family, she wasn't killed by, her family were killed by someone related to something that Winston did when he was a child, and so she's hunting him down, and it just bogs it down with so much shit. And the needle drops, my God, it's worse than Suicide Squad 2016.
Is it all contemporary, quote unquote, as in the time period?
Yeah, they try to use it as a way of like establishing the time period, but they also the songs are kind of a bit, I think they're quite obvious, the songs that they choose.
So when is it the 70s that it's at?
Yeah, I think so.
Vietnam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just after Vietnam.
So like late 60s, 70s kind of thing?
Yeah.
It's just after Vietnam. Okay, so 70s.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do I think would be in it? Space Oddity. I mean, that's late 60s, but
I mean, Bowie's definitely in
Bowie's
there.
in it.
Yeah.
I'm imagining a fight sequence to Ballroom Blitz.
You're probably right, yeah.
Really?
I mean, that does happen.
Okay.
It's got to be in there. If it's not a fight sequence, it's definitely
All those films, like Atomic Blonde, they all do that sort of thing. And
Yeah.
like Kingsman, have like a fucking uber violent action scene, but scored to like, bap,
Yeah.
something like that. So that's the worst of the year.
Yeah, I would say so.
Okay. Next one, again, Deadlock.
Okay. I don't agree with the idea that women can't be funny. But what I think Deadlock makes very clear is that women can't be funny in the same way that men can be funny.
Okay.
So it's it's like a murder mystery comedy, quote unquote dark comedy, about two cops that are very different people but have to put aside their differences to solve the murders. One of them is
Jodie Foster, and the other one's
one of them is a by the book, ironically straight lesbian, and the other one is the example of the case study that I'm giving.
Yeah.
She's like this drunken slob who swears and is unkempt.
Yeah.
And like scratches herself in very private places openly as though it's nothing.
Okay. Yeah. It's I tell you, I don't know if we're going to review True Detective season 4.
Okay.
I mean, I hope not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think there are, of course, women of every type. But with the amount you see these types on TV, you'd think that was women. And I think the reason it's so annoying is not because there's no misogyny, nothing like that. It's that I'm being lied to.
Well, yeah, but like in the case of Deadlock, it didn't feel like, because I'm not saying that like, oh, if that character was a man, it would have worked.
Yeah.
What I am saying is the woman playing that character feels like she's doing a bad impression of a male archetype.
Yeah.
And it just made the character infinitely more detestable.
Right. Well, same with True Detective. It's just a lie. Just they're not like that. For the most part, they're just not.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into the whole male-female question, but there's that age-old thing of like, oh, how come when men fuck loads of girls, they're champions, but when women fuck loads of guys, they're whores. There's actually a reason for that discrepancy. I'm not saying it's fair, but there is a reason for that. Which we could go into, but.
Yeah, well, we're trying to keep this under
Like
nine hours.
But there are reasons for the different perspectives and portrayals of men and women.
Yeah. I mean, this show has a weird obsession with gender anyway.
Well, of course it does. It's a show. I'm smoking, by the way.
Okay.
It's just that's why I talk about that. It's just a show about two female detectives.
Yeah.
So it has to be obsessed with gender.
Yeah. And it's set in a small coastal town.
They all are.
Yeah. And all of the victims are men. And this causes a rift between the women and the male community, who are already resentful of the female community because of all of the lesbians that live in the town.
That's so funny to me. All these lesbians coming in.
Well, that's literally like, that's the motivation of like the main character, like the main like villain male characters. It's like, all these fucking lesbians. This town was great until they showed up.
Right.
Now there's all these gays.
Okay.
And all these festivals about gays.
Right.
And like, I'm fucking spoiling it, I don't care. You find out that the killer is a serial killer / rapist who used to only target women in, I think, literally in LA, I think. And then during his time there, he became woke.
Okay.
And now he only kills men. As like penance.
Okay. I mean, that sounds like something you could kind of get behind halfway, like, oh, okay.
That's the thing.
It's not a misogynist sort of...
if you wanted to do like a sort of twisted satire thing about, serial killers becoming woke.
Yeah.
Like, okay, tell me more, but it doesn't tell you more, because that's the last 10 minutes of the show. They reveal who the killer is, they push him off a waterfall.
And they kill him, do they? Okay.
And then there's like a, we're friends now scene.
Do the men like the lesbians after that? Because the men are not being killed anymore.
No, you don't see the men after that, because that would require the men...
having a redemptive...
being a sort of showing humility, and we can't have that.
Can't have that. Okay. So the next is a mutual one that I would probably say is my worst show of the year.
Okay.
Frasier.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
Did you even finish Frasier?
No, I watched 3 episodes, I think.
Okay.
Well, that's awful, isn't it?
Yeah. I've not seen the original Frasier. I'm very looking forward to getting around to it. But yeah, this show is absolutely not what I understand Frasier to be.
No, it's not.
It's not. I mean, Kelsey Grammer feels like he's comfortable in that character.
There's a little bit of consistency there, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not intelligently written. It's not as dry and witty as I understand the original one to be. There's a lot of differences in the presentation of the comedy and the style of comedy. Obviously, a lot of the main cast gone. The father is dead. Niles is not in it.
Yeah.
So the cast is pretty different, and that's not inherently a bad thing.
Well, I think they did themselves no favours calling it Frasier. That's the bit, I think that kind of is what sunk it. Because we've talked about, like, call it Cheers Frasier, you know, like if it's going to be the final chapter.
Yeah, that's the thing, because he's gone back to Boston, isn't it? Which is where Cheers was set.
Yeah, so Cheers Frasier. And the whole, like, the Anglophilic, so Cheers Frasier would make sense, do you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's a celebration of a career. You know, thank you, Frasier, for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not Frasier. To be Frasier, it needs Niles.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Right.
Because Frasier was in Cheers, and it wasn't Frasier.
Okay.
It was Cheers. Frasier is Frasier because of the brothers.
Right.
And they try and replace Niles, but it doesn't work.
No.
It's nice to see Nicholas Lyndhurst working.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
But, you know, and you're not going to say no, are you?
No.
But it was just like every other comedy you see now. Every other kind of sitcom, multicam comedy.
And it just makes you think, like, I suppose they must have had some confidence in it to kind of charge ahead with it.
Yeah.
But if the only relationship that this has to the original Frasier is that Frasier is in it, why bother making it?
And it's not like it's even the original writers.
No.
We looked up the career of the writer. I can't even remember what they've done.
No.
But it wasn't good.
No.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not a replacement for Frasier. It's not even as good as Frasier.
Nowhere near.
So why is it here?
Right. Okay. Fubar.
I like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Okay.
I think. As like, you know, he seems like an alright dude.
I won't go that far.
No?
Well, he cheated on his wife and everything.
Well, yeah, that's not on.
No.
But I don't know. I just like he doesn't.
You like him as a screen presence.
Yeah, he doesn't inspire the same like that I get from like The Rock or someone.
Okay. Yeah.
I believe him.
Okay.
I trust him as a presence. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm going to get from you, and I know what I'm not going to get from Arnold Schwarzenegger is
acting.
Yeah. So why put him in a show where he needs to act? Is my question. A show that requires not only for him to give a convincing dramatic performance, but to have a sense of comedic timing.
I mean, he's done comedies, right?
Well, he's been in them.
Yes. Jingle All the Way.
Yeah.
Do you find it funny in Jingle All the Way?
Oh, well, I mean, how much of that is the film around him?
Yeah. But, yeah, I don't know. He's a weird one, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, he's good in the Terminator films because nothing's required of him.
Yeah.
That's it, really. Yeah. And like, there's like perverse enjoyment in Commando and Eraser and all those kind of things. Yeah. And he does have a charisma. I'll give him that. But yeah, Fubar just looked terrible.
It was.
Okay.
It's what I have to say to that. Yeah, utterly detestable characters that just wouldn't be hired by this secret spy organization.
Right.
They're too incompetent.
Okay.
Most of the like conflicts that arise throughout the show are caused by them. There's no way that they would be, you know, they would be on the team. And what I resent about Fubar is that it's 8 episodes long and it has cliffhanger endings. And the cliffhanger endings, even though I wasn't enjoying myself, it was clearly enough to pull me through to the next episode.
Yeah.
And then by the time we got to episode 6, it just stopped trying.
Is it a show reviewed by its title?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was annoyed that like 6, 7, and well, obviously 8. But yeah, episode 6 and 7, they didn't even have cliffhanger endings. The episodes just stopped. It's like, oh wow, you're not even trying anymore. You know that you have my attention at this point.
Yeah.
You've stopped even trying to keep that. Fuck you, Fubar. With my
fuck you, Fubar.
Yeah.
F you, Fubar.
F you, Fubar.
For Fubar.
For Fubar.
Fubar.
That's my review.
Fubar. Ugh. When I was growing up, fufu is what you call ladies' part. So fufu bar is like...
It's a strip club, isn't it?
Oh no, I was thinking like it's when you eat.
Oh.
Like a fufu bar, you know.
Oh, okay. Oh, we were in completely different places there.
Yeah, fufu bar, I guess, is a strip joint.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're 5. My adventures...
Dad, here we go to the fufu bar.
Yes, son, this will be the last time I see you. Okay, my adventures with Superman.
It's not an utterly detestable show. It's basically the West's Adult Swim. It's their attempt at doing a shonen anime with Superman.
Okay.
Which feels like a fairly appropriate arena to throw Superman into.
Mm-hmm.
Like this uber powerful character. Like, that's the thing with Superman, look, apart from Kryptonite, literally can't be stopped.
Yeah.
While kind of like doing his origin story as well, where like he doesn't know about his powers and he's kind of learning, and Lois Lane is trying to investigate Superman with Clark Kent, so he has to kind of like hide the fact that he's actually Superman.
Right.
There's a couple of like little things going on. And then it's a 10-episode series, episode 7 comes along, and all of a sudden they introduce the multiverse.
Of course.
And that's just, I was like, oh, fuck off. Are we really, like, everything?
Yeah.
Does we have to put up with this in everything now?
Well, that's what's interesting about this new Superman. Is it Superman Legacy? Is that what it's called?
I think so.
The James Gunn one. I mean, like, there's just a bunch of characters in it. So I hope that means they're not doing multiverse.
Yeah.
Because they've got Green Lantern, they've got, obviously Lex Luthor, Superman. They've got a couple of other ones as well.
Okay.
And I don't think Gunn would go the way of the multiverse.
Oh, I would hope not. Because ultimately, it's like, yeah, okay, they've introduced the multiverse, but if you're going to do something with the multiverse, like, okay, let's see where this goes. But the only purpose it really serves is Lois Lane meets alternate versions of herself that tell her, hey, our Supermen were evil. Your Superman might be evil.
Right.
But he's not evil. We know he's not evil.
Did none of them tell her that it's Clark Kent? Or is it not Clark Kent?
She knows at that point.
Oh, she knows at that point.
Yeah, she's figured it out.
Okay.
And yeah, the only thing it really does is foreshadow that the Kryptonians that are still around are indeed evil. Right. And they're kind of using Superman's presence on Earth to kind of launch an invasion. But you didn't need to introduce the multiverse to introduce the idea that some people on Superman's planet might have been evil.
No, and we already know that.
Yeah.
As any kind of vaguely informed audience.
Yeah.
We know about Zod.
Yeah.
You know.
It's not Zod specifically, but just the idea.
The idea.
Like,
Bizarro and everything, you know.
Yeah, Superman has grown up amongst humans, so he's good, but his people are not.
Are not, yeah.
Yeah.
A mutual one, season 7 of Rick and Morty.
Okay. I mean, you know, it doesn't matter how good the Rick and Morty impressions were going to be when it was this obvious that the main creative force of the show was gone.
Yes. It's just kind of over, you know?
Yeah.
I don't even remember it that well.
No.
It's like any other animated show.
The only thing that I remember about it is, funny enough, I think you could probably draw some parallels with Community Season 4.
Yeah.
Where it feels like the creator of the show was more interested in convincing people that this was still Rick and Morty.
Right.
Than actually just doing Rick and Morty.
Yes.
Because Rick and Morty, like, it has a continuity, and it has a universe, and it has recurring characters. But a major part of that show was just invention.
Yeah.
Every episode was something completely new. And even when they brought back characters, they did something completely new with them.
Yeah.
It's probably not the best example, but like there's an episode where they do like an Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind thing, where Rick goes into Bird Person's mind, and you learn a lot about their history and how they became friends and everything like that. It's like, okay, you're not just bringing back a character, you're doing something with that character. And then this season, like, oh, this episode we're seeing all of Rick's friends and they get drunk. Oh, this episode the President and Unity are in it and they argue with Rick. This episode Morty falls in love with a girl.
Riffing.
Yeah.
Just kind of, chitting your way through it, sort of thing. I agree. Another mutual one.
Okay.
Scott Pilgrim Takes Off, which won a few awards.
Oh, no,
recently.
did it?
Like Best Animated Series. Critics, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. It's, obviously all the original cast from the film are back.
Which, you know, probably improved my impressions of it going in.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, everyone came back.
Yeah,
everyone's on board for this. There has to be something here.
They make a risky gambit, don't they? With the first episode, which is, it's basically the film up until the first fight.
Yeah. Spoilers?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
It's up until the first fight, and then it goes in a completely different direction. Now, I know the thinking there. It was, we'll lull them into a false sense of security.
Yeah.
And then we'll do our own thing. Kind of like Fargo Season 1. It's like it's close enough to the film, and then it kind of invents. But I feel like I did not like I'm watching it, but I've seen the film, and the film's better. Yeah. So I easily could have just concluded, right, it's just going to be the film done as a TV series. I don't need to watch this.
Yeah.
Because it's not a bit of the first episode, it's the first episode.
Yeah. Like you said, right up until the Matthew Patel fight.
Yeah. So I wonder what the retention rate was of people like, oh, it's the film, I'm not even going to bother.
Yeah. Because as you say, it's an inferior retelling of the film.
Yeah.
I mean, that film is just so brilliantly constructed. Like in the script and the editing, everything about it is just magnificently paced. You get to know Knives before you even meet Ramona.
Yeah.
Because it's important to understand Scott's relationship with Knives.
To feel bad for her.
To feel bad for her when he starts pursuing Ramona. In the first episode, he meets Ramona immediately.
Yeah.
And Knives has one scene towards the end of the episode.
Yeah. Well, Ramona is the lead, isn't she?
Yeah.
Of the series. So I guess they thought, oh, we have to bring her in straight away.
But if you were going with that gambit, and it feels too... It had to have been intentional. This is not something that we've read into. It's like clearly that's what they're doing. It would be so much more powerful if you thought you were watching a show about this guy trying to juggle these two girls and fighting all of her exes, and then all of a sudden, she's the main character.
Right.
It's like, oh, wow, okay. I was not expecting this. Let's see where this goes.
Yeah. I just didn't like it.
No.
You know? I just didn't like it. I didn't think it was funny. I didn't like the meta stuff. Simon Pegg and Nick Frost pop up. You know? I don't know how involved Edgar Wright is. He produces it, but I don't know if he has any creative...
No, I think they probably used him to get everybody there.
Yeah.
And then that was probably the end of it. Yeah, I mean, they try and build on the characters of the exes and everything, because obviously we can spend more time with them now because they're all sticking around. But again, it's not a replacement. I haven't read the original source material, but it's not as good as the film, and it's not a replacement for the film. No. So why are we doing this?
Yeah, we won't be returning to it.
No.
And the final two are yours, Twisted Metal.
I mean, it was fine. I'm not going to get angry about Twisted Metal. Okay. It was fine. The main reason I put it on the list is because there's just one weird thing I thought about it. Yeah, Twisted Metal is like a Demolition Derby video game, basically. There is a universe that it inhabits, but I don't think it has a story, really. So for the show, as far as I'm aware, they've kind of invented everything. Anthony Mackie plays a courier that drives across America delivering packages because the world is basically uninhabitable. So a lot of humanity are kind of cooped up in cities.
Right.
And then out there in the wild, there are these nomads and couriers and crazy people. Yeah, Fallout, exactly. And he's given a package that he has to deliver to this this place that nobody goes. Along the way, he meets Stephanie Beatrice or
Beatrice,
Beatrice. She kind of makes herself his passenger to his reluctance, but then they end up kind of falling for each other. It's that story. It's basically just like a road trip story across America, where they encounter all of these allies and crazies, and they kind of build it along the way. And the big hook for season 2 is that all of the characters that we've met are going to enter into a tournament.
Okay, right.
So the cliched plot that you start with, i.e., everyone fights in a tournament. That's the thing they've been building to. That's season 2.
Reminds me of Madam Web.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes. Okay, I kind of see what you mean.
Yeah.
I just found that really peculiar. You've done all right at falling into that trap. Why is this the reward?
Yes. I guess the idea is that's the game, isn't it? So
I suppose
it'll be the game now.
But I mean, the characters from the games that you recognise, they're translated fairly faithfully. It's not as if they needed to do a Demolition Derby for it to feel like Twisted Metal.
Yeah. Has it been renewed?
Well, yeah, I say season 2. I don't know if it's been renewed, but that's clearly the hook that they're going with.
Yeah. No, I'm sure they're planning on it. I just don't know if it's actually been renewed or not.
I don't know.
Okay. And White House Plumbers.
I'm going to say some words to you, Sam.
Go on.
And when I say these words, I want you to tell me if you like the sound of this show. HBO.
Yeah, good start.
Period drama.
Yeah.
Woody Harrelson.
Very good.
Justin Theroux.
Ooh.
There's probably more words.
Nixon politics, all stuff that's in my
Nixon
wheelhouse.
politics. Yeah. American history.
Yeah.
How's that sound to you?
Oh, that's clearly like a 5-star Chernobyl miniseries.
Yeah. What if I told you it's a piece of shit?
It isn't. Okay. Well, I don't know what my feelings were before watching it. Yeah, the cast had me excited, and it was HBO.
Yeah.
And then the reviews were not good.
No.
But the cast has been nominated,
right.
Which is interesting. And I think Theroux was up for the Critics' Choice Award. But no, I haven't seen a frame of it.
No. I mean, I find that peculiar because Woody Harrelson and Justin Theroux were my least favourite things about it, really.
Okay.
Woody Harrelson, he's doing... I mean, it's based on real stuff, so maybe they're trying to imitate the real people. But given how unflattering Justin Theroux's character is, the way that they portray him, I doubt that they're sticking to... I doubt they're trying to make it authentic.
Well, one of them's G. Gordon Liddy, right? Is that Theroux?
I think so.
Bald?
Oh, no, that's Harrelson.
Okay. I mean, I don't know whether G. Gordon Liddy wasn't and then ended up bald later in life.
Okay.
I've seen him later in life.
Okay.
Yeah, they were the architects of Watergate, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay, like Watergate, good. Okay,
Yeah.
we're good, interesting part of American history. Great actors, great network, all systems go. But
well, Nixon is the most reviled president, other than Trump now, in American history. Republican.
yeah,
Conspiracy, orchestrating these misdeeds.
yeah,
It's obviously built to be a very contemporary piece. And they're going to characterize those characters as, I would imagine, outright racist trolls.
in the first episodes, Justin Theroux, which might be Liddy actually, I'm not 100%
Yeah.
certain. He literally puts on a Hitler speech in the background.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know whether that's accurate or not, but
Yeah,
that's what I would expect.
yeah, yeah.
And I think it's made by comedy people. I think, I could be wrong, but I think it's David Mandel who shepherded the final seasons of Veep.
Okay.
So we'll get that guy in. Political satire.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine. Getting comedy people in to do this, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, the ultimate irony of this story is that they were hired to get Nixon re-elected.
Yes.
And they, as you say, brought about Watergate that ruined his
Yes.
reputation. So putting a comedic spin on that, yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah. But, Woody Harrelson, he's doing a voice that is just ear-grating. It's so uncomfortable to listen to. And yeah, Justin Theroux's character feels so... Like, I can't imagine they've given him any flexibility.
Any charity.
Whatsoever. Okay. And they're the two leads of that show, and so the whole show falls apart. I mean, it's not a brilliantly written show anyway.
Okay.
It's not, like, engaging or funny or worth visiting in any way.
But they really ruin it.
Yeah, they bring the whole thing down, which is such a shame, because it's Woody Harrelson
and Justin Theroux.
They know what they're doing.
But this, I think it's a good marker, actually. When you have a cast that's littered, more than this usually, but you know, it's great actors, and there's like 20 of them. You go, oh, this has to be good.
Yeah.
It really is, for some reason. It really is. It's like too much. You know what I mean? So I think a good cast is not enough to go off. So that's the poop that we missed.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to mention, we're not doing the top 10 worst of the year, but we are doing, I want to mention the 3 worst films of the year.
Okay.
That kind of cover different things for me. So there's the worst plotted film of the year, which was Five Nights at Freddy's.
Which we talked about extensively, I believe.
The worst overall film of the year
Yeah.
is Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
Yes, and what I'll say, again, we're going to be talking about Rebel Moon at some point in the future. But thank God for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. If you're Zack Snyder,
Yes.
or Rebel Moon would have gone straight to the bottom.
Absolutely. And the worst, philosophically, is Barbie.
Right.
It just is. That's where I wanted to leave that one until last.
Well, yeah, we've had a lot of fun with that recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
Because we're kind of hoovering up a lot of the films that are present at the Oscars. And you've kind of said to me that, like, yeah, you've been watching you've seen some really outstanding stuff lately. And whenever you're confronted with, like, a big, powerful speech, or a big, powerful moment in those films, you're watching that, but in your head, you're just hearing American Ferrera going...
Because, obviously the big controversy is that Margot Robbie and Greta Gerwig, for directing, haven't been nominated.
Yeah.
By people that haven't seen certainly all of the other films. They've seen Oppenheimer, but that's it.
Yeah.
They haven't seen Anatomy of a Fall. They haven't seen The Holdovers. They haven't seen The Zone of Interest.
No.
So who gives a fuck what they think anyway?
Yeah. And these people probably aren't even aware that it's up for, like, screenplay and all of these other awards as well. Yeah.
They just know Ryan Gosling was nominated.
Yeah.
But yeah, Anna America Ferrera for an Oscar. And so, yeah, I always, in my head, it's like, you want me on that wall. You need me on that wall. Girl, it's hard. Yeah, it's just, pathetic.
Okay.
But okay, so this is the not poop that we missed.
Yes.
The good stuff that we missed.
We're improving. We're getting...
Yes.
We want the good stuff.
I think most of these are mutual.
Okay. Which is a good sign.
Yes. Anatomy of a Fall.
Yes.
Yes, very good.
Yes. Who would have thought that the day would come where the French made a film where it wasn't
good.
Yeah, it wasn't just clear. It wasn't actually clear what was going on, but it's actually about something.
Yeah, I'm going through. I'm kind of in the 60s at the moment, so there's a lot of French New Wave films, and God, they are just awful people. There are people that kind of really...
The people that made them, or just the French?
The French.
Okay.
No, like, there's a lot of fetishization among certain demographic about the French New Wave, like the fashions and like being in love with the actresses and like Jean-Luc Godard and all that. And they're just awful.
Okay.
I don't know, like maybe I'm a Philistine in that respect. I can't do French films of the 60s. It's just something I cannot do.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, you're right. This is a good French film. And the director is a female, Justine Triet, who is nominated for directing at the Oscars, but they don't know that.
Ah, well, yeah. No, she didn't direct Barbie. So.
Well, that's the thing. The other nominees, I would say Alexander Payne is someone I would have predicted would be nominated that wasn't. But the other nominees are locked in. Like, if you follow the awards, Scorsese's going to be nominated.
Yeah.
Nolan was going to be nominated.
Yeah.
Gerwig, I would have said would have been, but her spot, if you like, was taken by another woman. But they don't know that.
No.
But no, it's a very good film, very great lead performance from Sandra Hüller, who will figure in...
I mean, all around, yeah. I mean, her performance is great. The kid's performance is great. Yeah. They even get a great performance out of the fucking dog.
The dog.
Sam.
Yeah. Did the dog win the Palm Dog, or whatever it's called?
The Palm Dog?
They have an award at Cannes for dogs.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, and I think it's the Palm Dog. It's something like that. Like the one from The Artist won it and everything. I don't know whether they've retired it, but
okay.
The many reviews have mentioned the dog.
Yeah.
So I think maybe... there's a whole thing you could do there with Canis, K9.
Oh, okay.
Can Major.
There you go.
There you go, that's what it should be called.
Yeah.
This dog wins the Can Major. Make a speech. Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, a lot of these things we can just fly through, I hope, because they're good.
Yeah.
This is... I think you like the first third of it, as did I. If the film had been that, it would have been brilliant. But Beau was afraid.
Oh yeah, this is really pushing its luck being on the good list.
Well, it's a film that I liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the first third is great.
That's the thing.
Really great.
Yeah, it's what's great about it as well is it's something that the rest of the film doesn't do.
Yeah.
Which is what's so strange about it, because that first 45 minutes, it's depicting this character and these horrific situations that he's getting himself into, but it's layering them and it's building on them, and everything is happening as a consequence of what came before, and it feels really tight and well put together, and then it becomes this episodic road trip movie.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, the things I like about it, Phoenix is great.
Yeah,
I like Ari Aster's direction, and by which I mean how he shoots it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Oh, yeah. It doesn't become a bad film.
No, I know that.
You become a hostage to it at a certain point.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's way too long.
Yeah.
I like its chutzpah. I like its ambition.
Okay.
I like the whole philosophy of, it's a Jewish horror movie.
Right.
It's, if your mother could overhear what you talk about with your psychiatrist. I like that stuff. Yeah, it doesn't translate to it being a great film. But I like the ending as well. Okay. So, good start, good ending. You kind of forgive a lot because of that. But it is way too long. But I admired its goal.
Okay.
Dave Chappelle, the Dreamer.
He's very good. I don't know what it is about Dave Chappelle. And I don't know if it's conscious design or not. But it feels like his last couple of specials, they've kind of started out as more traditional, stand-up shows that kind of, lift your spirit because they're good jokes told well. And then the second half of the show sort of becomes this lecture of his life or life in general, where he's almost trying to impart wisdom on you.
Yeah, I mean, there's the one where he just talks about Emmett Till.
Yeah.
For, 10, 20 minutes.
And it's the only comedian I can think of where I come out of one of his specials, not just in higher spirits because I've been laughing, but I just feel rejuvenated almost as a person.
Edified.
Yeah.
You've consumed something that makes you feel better for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I agree. And, he's a great storyteller. And I love great storytellers that just verbally, tell a good story. No, he's brilliant. And, his The Bird Revelation, which is probably my favourite of his specials.
Is that the pimp story?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
When he tells the pimp story at the end and uses it as an allegory for his career. To me, that I think about in the same breath as The Leftovers, which is I'm not entirely sure what he's trying to say with that story, but there's this ambiguity around it, the seriousness. I mean, you can infer what he's talking about.
Yeah.
But what an interesting way of kind of filling that void of where he was for all those years.
Yeah.
He tells this kind of cryptic story about it.
Yeah.
No, he's great. He's a treasure, Dave Chappelle. He really is.
Yeah.
I don't agree with everything that he says and thinks, and, but I wouldn't miss anything that he does in terms of stand-up, ever.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, this is one of mine, Godland.
Oh, I haven't even seen this. Okay.
Yeah. So it's a Scandinavian film that is kind of about the birth of photography. With the cameras, you had to put the hood over it and all that. And it's filmed accordingly. So it's
on old cameras, is it?
Some of it's on old cameras. It's 4:3.
Yeah.
It's 4:3. And it's just a beautifully directed film. It's very dry. There's nothing else about it that you're going to love, but it's just a really greatly directed film.
Okay.
So on that level, I recommend it.
Yeah, okay.
This is one of yours. I thought it was good, but this is definitely one of yours. Godzilla -1.
Yes, okay. It's not the slam dunk
No.
that a lot of people have positioned it as. Mm-hmm. And if memory serves me correct, I would still say that Shin Godzilla is the superior film.
I would agree, yeah.
But you got to give them credit. They made a Godzilla film for, what was it, like $10 million?
Yes.
Which, for context, is double the budget of Nomadland after global inflation.
Do you mean half the budget?
Well, Godzilla -1 is 10 million. Nomadland was 5 million.
Oh, so it's double the budget. Okay.
Yeah, it's double the budget of Nomadland. Which is a film about Francis McDormand driving around the desert with no filming permit, literally talking to actual homeless people.
Yes.
And at not one point does it feel like Godzilla -1 is compromising on its spectacle. Mm-hmm. You don't get the sense that you're watching something that has been hastily reshot or shoddily re-edited. And there's no political cock-teasing where you get the impression that the film and everybody who made it fucking hate you.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's done so well with people. For people who only stick to the mainstream releases, it's probably been a while since they've seen a film that doesn't have a cynical agenda or feels like it's resting on its laurels.
No, I agree. And I think it's a good, solid, well-put-together film. But it's a Godzilla film. It's just the Godzilla film. Do you know what I mean? Before you'd seen it, I said to you, what's the final shot?
Oh, yeah.
And you knew what it was. Of course. That's what it always is.
Yeah.
It's a Godzilla film. So if you love Godzilla, you're going to love this film.
Yeah.
If you're ambivalent about Godzilla and require a brilliant film around it, maybe, maybe not. I didn't think it was a brilliant film. I thought it was a good film.
Yeah.
But the stuff that you mentioned, that's one of those things, that's not a feat of artistry, that's a feat of commerce. Where it's like Lord of the Rings, where they go, oh, they had all these extras, and you go, you don't go, oh, it's a brilliant film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I agree those things are admirable, but they only go so far.
It says more about...
the industry.
Yeah, it says more about the industry than it does about the film.
Yes.
But I think that might be a reasonable explanation for its success.
No, I agree. Another one of mine, Holy Spider.
Yeah, never got around to this one.
It's a Persian film. It came out right at the beginning of the year. Maybe even like New Year's Day. My memory is actually quite foggy on it, but it's basically about a serial killer and the journalist tracking him. And it's just a couple of really well-cast leads who give really good performances. Like, it equally follows them. You see the serial killer in his normal life, and yeah, a little hidden gem that I would recommend.
Okay.
Another one of mine that I don't think you've got round to, How to Have Sex.
No, I did get around to
it. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, you did? Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, not a slam dunk, but I really liked the performances, especially the lead.
This feels like we were talking about during Deadlock, where you said, like, oh, those types of female characters, I feel like I'm being lied to.
Yeah.
This is the complete opposite of that.
Right.
I believe everything that I was shown
Yes.
in How to Have Sex.
It's very grounded, very naturalistic, very believable. They look the part, they look their age.
Yeah.
And I don't, another just a little hidden gem. I suppose it has some grace afforded it by the fact that my idea of the premise and its title make me think that I'm going to hate it. Like women talking.
Yeah.
But I end up liking it. And I think because it's a surprise, maybe it shoots a little higher in my estimation.
Yeah.
But I did think it was a really good little film.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as sexy, quote unquote, as Saltburn.
No.
But this deserves to be popular amongst the audience that Saltburn is
I agree.
popular with. Because even if it's like, I imagine for a lot of women, it's like, oh, I feel seen.
Well, it's like it's that coming of age story.
Yeah.
It's where you're a virgin and that maybe your first experience is kind of not right.
Yeah.
You know?
But even if you haven't gone through that experience,
Yeah.
it's a fantastic, like, cautionary tale.
No, definitely.
And even people like, young men would probably get something out of it as well.
Yeah, and it's not a film that says men are pieces of shit.
No.
Which is always nice.
Yeah.
Okay, Mutual, Infinity Pool.
Yes, I'm not going to premise Infinity Pool. I know we haven't really been doing that. But I really think that it would be doing it a disservice to even kind of...
spoil any of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I will say about it is it has the type of plot... It's like a psychological horror film. And it has the type of plot where, because we're all, not just you and me, I think culturally, we're literate enough in storytelling now, we can't help but know what the ending of it's going to be.
Yeah.
But what Infinity Pool does is it manages to circumnavigate that by having the characters not really care about the details of that inevitable reveal.
Yeah.
And B, it spends the rest of its time seeing how far it can push those characters, knowing that they don't care about the consequences of that reveal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's David Cronenberg's son.
Yeah, Brandon Cronenberg.
And I saw like a pretty good assessment from somebody where they said, whereas David Cronenberg is clearly obsessed with the destruction of our bodies.
Body horror, yeah.
It seems like the son, Brian, you said? Brandon Cronenberg is more interested in the corruption of our minds.
Yes.
And that very much feels like the philosophy of Infinity Pool.
I agree. And another, a good turn from Alexander Skarsgård, who's not the same in everything.
Yeah.
And Mia Goth,
who's just a fucking wild animal.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of people they had domesticating her long enough to put her in films.
yeah.
But they deserve all the credit.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I suppose Mia Goth as well, she deserves some credit too.
Well, might as well throw this in now then, Pearl.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, which I don't know if we reviewed or talked about at all, but it would have been a last year thing for you.
I think we did a similar episode to this where we were just like burning through stuff. We mentioned X, but Pearl hadn't come out at that point.
Okay. Well, Pearl is very good.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than X.
It's better than X.
Which is, like, amazing in the set, because am I right in saying that they just made Pearl?
What do you mean?
Well, they went out and filmed X.
Yeah.
And then they were there, and they were like, oh, we're here, let's just make another film.
Let's do an origin story for that character.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So they just made this other film.
The third one is coming out this year or next year.
Yeah, which might have been part of the original design. And I don't know if Pearl was part of the original design, but if it wasn't, then good God,
Yeah, no.
Like it's not like a stop the presses type of thing. But it's a pretty competent character study.
No, it is, and that has stuff in it that kind of Saltburn is going for, like her fucking the Scarecrow and all that.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not shocked easily. No. I'm really not with film. I'm really not. And things like that just kind of go over my head.
Yeah.
But when she started doing that, I wasn't shocked or appalled. But it made sense, and it was good for the character, and it wasn't it didn't feel like my adulthood was being insulted.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And she's great in it as well. That final shot, just where it's holding on her,
I'm gonna have to start
twisted smile.
I'm gonna have to start doing a list of films that have amazing final shots.
Oh no!
I know, but like this would absolutely be in that list.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, it's a fantastic final shot.
Okay, Louis C.K. live at the Dolby.
Yes. Okay. I also like Louis C.K.
Yes.
All the big three are here. Bill Burr, unfortunately, in the other list.
Yes.
But yeah, also Dave Chappelle and Louis C.K. It's not his strongest special.
No.
But I think we still quote it. There's still moments that we find ourselves going back to and like, oh, I need to watch that again.
Yeah, at this point, I think with Dave Chappelle, you want to laugh and you want a bit of that kind of wisdom thrown in. With Louis C.K., it's mostly like you want to laugh.
Yeah.
And I think with each show, you're guaranteed at least 3 or 4 proper laugh out loud thing. Like, doesn't all have to be. For me, Stuart Lee approaches like laugh a minute. It's like everything he does, I laugh at kind of thing. Louis C.K. isn't quite that. American, there's a slightly different sensibility. But there are like 4 or 5 things, that just stay with you. So the Bible stuff from this one.
And then we walked.
Yeah. Jew, And the encounter with the tree.
Yeah, fuck you, fig tree.
Yeah.
But the time of figs is not now.
Yeah.
It's going to mean nothing to people who are listening to this, but I would encourage you to watch the special.
Yes.
Like I said, he's probably done maybe 2017. Was that the one with the 9/11 deniers?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, since he's come back, that's probably his strongest outing. But this is also
the 9/11 deniers. Yeah, is that the one that ends with the Wizard of Oz thing? Because that, for some reason, that's the thing that sticks in my head.
Okay, potentially. I think he's wearing a suit during that. During that special.
Okay, one of yours again. I thought it was good, but I wouldn't put it on my list, which is May December.
Yeah, I think the reason that this ended up here is because, funny enough, you mentioned earlier something about cinematography. I think you said, call back to what I've said before, that like we need to be raising the bar for when it comes to critique cinematography.
Yeah.
Saltburn is a good example of a film that is handsomely shot, but the cinematography says nothing.
But so what? Yeah.
Yeah. May December is an example of a film that's not necessarily the most attractive looking film in the world, but the cinematography says so much.
It has a philosophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just from the way it's shot, it kind of pulls you into the story because it's sort of the way that they film it. It's you're either in the scene in the sense that you're like in a mirror that the character is looking directly into, or you're kind of behind the foreground.
Yes.
So it's like you're watching the characters from afar.
Yes.
So it's because the film is about the Natalie Portman character is literally watching and trying to emulate what's her name?
Julianne Moore.
I do know her name. I don't know why it disappeared for a moment. But yeah, Julianne Moore character. And so yeah, there's kind of like, she's an observant of her, but we're an observant of them. And the
film's all about mirroring and kind of mimicking kind of fragmented identities and all that kind of thing.
And so
Todd Haynes is a very good filmmaker. You need to see more of his films.
Yeah, I absolutely want to, having now seen this, because it takes the core thesis of the film, the central themes that it's dealing with, and weaves that into the film's visual identity.
Yeah,
and I think that was worth mentioning. Like, it's all right, it's fine enough, but the cinematography is like, it's going in my list of best cinematography of the year. Yeah,
I think Far From Heaven is his peak, his magnum opus.
Okay.
But I saw his first, his second. I think his first film was the Karen Carpenter story that was like a stop motion thing. But then his second film is called Poison, which is kind of Julianne Moore's one of her breakout roles.
Okay.
Where she plays a suburban woman. He does suburbia quite a lot.
Right.
Who starts to be ill, and she starts to think that she's getting infected from like the environment. It's like the modern thing of, the detergent you use and the poisons in the food you eat, and like a proper health psychotic crisis.
Right.
As she starts like, I need to live in a bubble, basically. It's really uncomfortable and really good. There's a critic that Kermode always quotes. This is when I think it's that film, that when he walked out of it, he felt he had to bath in Clorox.
Right.
Because he just felt like contaminated after watching. It's very good. Okay. Very well directed.
Okay,
one of mine, I'll quickly... Past Lives. It's been up for all the awards and everything. People, you know about it probably. If you're into that kind of film, you're going to really love it.
And
that's what I'll say.
And if you're not?
There's not really anything in it for you.
Okay.
And I'm not. But I acknowledge that it's a good film.
Okay.
The Royal Hotel.
Yeah, another mutual one.
A kind of weird little surprise out of nowhere film. I think it's from Kitty Green, who did The Assistant. Also,
because what's her face?
Julia Garner. Yeah. Which I also really liked. Really liked The Assistant. And this is basically a film about the backpackers, American tourists that go to this nowhere town in Australia on, I guess, like a gap year sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they to work in this pub. And the pub services the miners that are working locally, and that's basically the entire clientele. It's run by Hugo Weaving and his wife. And it's one of those films where you feel like you know where it's going, and it kind of goes there, but it never fully goes there. And it was just kind of a nice surprise, because you could argue, it doesn't give you the satisfying catharsis that you want. But it's a true story.
Oh, wow, okay.
And it's one of those films like Creature that is a horror film without overtly being a horror film. The dread and like, something awful is going to happen to these girls. Yeah, I don't really want to spoil it, but yeah, it was just a nice little surprise.
Yeah, I got nothing to add to that.
Yeah.
I agree with everything you said.
Okay. Shane Gillis' Beautiful Dogs, which I haven't seen.
Okay, so this is all on me.
Yeah.
I recently discovered Shane Gillis. I saw like snippets of him on YouTube, and he's got a very kind of like American, like like broy.
Yeah,
like,
he smiles a lot.
Yeah,
I don't like that he smiles a lot.
He smiles a lot. He's like, oh yeah, dude, like fucking. He talks a bit like that.
Yes.
So I just kind of like made my assumptions about his comedy and just kind of moved on. And then I listened to like, he does a good Trump impression, so I was listening to a bit of that. Then I started listening to the material around that. Before I knew it, I found myself watching and enjoying the whole special.
Okay.
He's got the endorsement of Louis C.K., who I think is directed or really produced that special. He's open for Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle has like fully endorsed him. And yeah, I don't know if... I know that like the story behind him is that he was hired for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And then they fired him pretty quickly because of the type of material that he would do.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the origins of his career. So yeah, I'm guessing that he's fairly new to the scene. But I mean, if this is where he's starting, I'm really looking forward to see where he goes.
Well, I'll give it a watch. I mean, yeah, like he's in that pocket of podcasters. He's on Rogan a lot.
Yeah.
He's definitely one of his like chums. But like Bobby Lee, Andrew Santino, Theo Von, they're always kind of on each other's podcasts. Yeah. Tom Segura. And he's pretty much the only one that he hasn't turned me on to him.
Okay.
He hasn't really done or said anything that makes me want to...
Yeah,
but you're right. Maybe if it's different.
Yeah, it's not like Theo Von where he's so immediately captivating. It's like, oh, okay, I kind of need to see more of this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a ramp up for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing where his career goes at this point.
Well, I saw Louis C.K., and I know you've seen it as well, on Theo Von's podcast talking about why he's good.
Yeah.
Which is a red state comedian playing to blue state crowds.
Yes.
And he'll say something they boo at, and then instantly applaud, because he's kind of...
he knows how to win the crowd over, yeah.
Okay, Sisu.
Yes.
Which is kind of, I guess I'd put on there.
Yeah.
If that's what you're after, you know what I mean? It didn't really tickle my fancy all that much, but it was early on in the year, and when it came out, it was one of the better films of the year.
Yeah, it came out at pretty much the right time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a small little action film that knows what it wants to do, and it gets in there, and it does it, and it doesn't fuck about, and it's out, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's all there is to say, really, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. It's got very unique look to it. It's almost kind of grayscale with like it's kind of that kind of I don't know if there's a term for it, but yeah, it's predominantly grayscale, but then certain colors will be pronounced. So this guy is like the Nazis are after him because he's a gold miner, gold.
Yeah.
I don't
like
know,
a prospector.
Prospector, yeah. And so the gold is like properly golden, but everything else is kind of grey.
Yes.
So when the Nazis are killed, they're killed very graphically, and the blood is incredibly viscous and red.
It's that World War II grayscale. We're not going to do black and white, like Land of Mine and stuff like that, where we're basically black and white.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, this one's on you. South Park joining the Pandaverse and not suitable for children.
Yes, but I'm putting both of them together.
Yeah.
Because I think they're pretty much the same in terms of quality. Time will tell like how well these age. We were talking about the dialogue in Mutant Mayhem being incredibly contemporary.
Well, before you go on, I'll say that South Park is blessed with something that other things are not fortunate to have, which is it doesn't have to be timeless. The whole thing of South Park is responding in real time to current events.
Absolutely.
I see South Park as basically in the same camp as Real Time with Bill Maher.
Okay.
Which is, I watch for like basically a history lesson of like, that's what was going on this week in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I don't watch it for, obviously points are made that have kind of timeless relevance. But yeah, I view South Park as the same thing. You know, like, oh yeah, Tom Cruise, Scientology, like.
And I mean the season of South Park that aired this year, it's exactly the same thing. Where they're all like big contemporary issues.
Yeah,
and yeah, like I said, I don't know how well these things are going to age because that was the point we made about Dream Scenario as well. Is that it's so contemporary that maybe like 5-10 years from now, this film is going to be outdated.
Yeah,
which is so unfortunate because of its premise. But yeah, these specials are like painfully contemporary. Like the joining the Pandaverse is all about the collapse of Disney and multiverses. And the not suitable for children is all about the like they use have you seen like the Prime energy drinks that have been like kicking about?
No,
they're a big thing on TikTok as well. I think like they maybe YouTubers have
maybe
promoted them or made them.
It's
or
a
something.
slight brain tingle.
Yeah, kids are obsessed with them.
Okay.
Like, they went out of stock everywhere. They were being scalped for ridiculous money online, even though they're just, like, crappy energy drinks.
Okay.
I haven't had one in fairness, but I'm assuming they're just, like, crappy energy drinks.
What can you add, really?
Yeah, and they're kind of, like, they end up being treated almost as, like, Pokemon. They're, like, collectibles for kids and stuff like that. And the second special is all about that, but then it kind of makes broader points about the way the internet treats children and the commercialization of that kind of... So yeah, there's a lot of like really like contemporary stuff in there, and it handles it pretty well. I mean, South Park it's not the behemoth that it once was.
No,
but I'm fairly happy with the place it's at the moment. It feels like it's occupying a really good space.
Well, it's also in the same vein as Bill Maher for me, in that it has remained immune to the woke trend.
Yeah,
there's a little pocket of people that are still kind of have integrity.
Yes.
And South Park's definitely, from what I have seen, is definitely in that camp. I mean, their whole thing has always been they're libertarian, they're not Democrat, they're not Republican, they all make fun of both sides.
Yeah. Which
is what we need. God, it's what we need.
Yes.
Okay, the Wes Anderson shorts.
Yeah, okay. This was a surprise, because I didn't see these coming.
No. Well, it was supposed to be a film, I think. Or at least Henry Sugar was supposed to be a film.
Okay. I mean, thank God that they made shorts instead, because I feel like that's absolutely the right forum.
Well, it was announced as a film. I'm guessing that the film would have been all the stories, but it would have been called, like a lot of book collections are, the name of the book is the first story.
Yeah.
So it would have been called The Wonderful World of Henry Sugar, or Wonderful Story, whatever it is.
The Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the rest would have been in there as well. Yeah, if it had been a film, it would have been impossible.
Yeah.
To get through.
Because, I mean, I watched Henry Sugar on its own, and then I watched the other three in close proximity. And by the time I got to the last one, which I think was The Swan,
yeah,
I was kind of sick of it at that point.
It's a nice way of doing adaptation of a short story.
Yeah. So there are 4 short stories. Henry Sugar is slightly longer. It's like 37 minutes.
Yeah.
The others are like 5 minutes each.
Roald Dahl.
Yeah, they're adaptations of Roald Dahl stories, and the unique way that these are told is the characters in the story are like, they're saying everything. They're
reading the story.
They're reading the story, yeah. So it's their inner thoughts. It's like when they say something, they turn to the camera and say, "I said."
Yes.
And the sets are. I know Wes Anderson has his very particular artificial style to him, but they're not even hiding that these are sets anymore. Walls will like roll up and come down when they need to, and you'll see people in the background moving things around.
Yeah. The story kind of unfolding in real time. I mean, I don't know, but to me, it seems like they did just read the story. Literally, word for word, read the story. Yeah, the first one, I really liked. And then, I was kind of bored after that.
Okay.
But Henry Sugar, I don't know whether it's necessarily better than the other ones, but it's because it's your first foray into it.
Yeah.
That you can put up with it for like 40 minutes and then that's enough.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Because they're reading the story, the dialogue is fucking constant.
It doesn't stop.
Yeah, and it's, like I said, it is good. I like the way that it's told. I think that he makes it work.
Yeah.
But because they speak quickly as well, it is exhausting.
Yeah, well, it's an audiobook, but pictures,
Yeah, exactly. So by the time you get to like the second or third short, you're like, yeah, okay, I know what this is.
Yeah, I'm done with that now. Okay, TV. The Artful Dodger.
Yes. Set in the universe of Oliver Twist.
Yeah.
I didn't see that coming. My knowledge of Oliver Twist ends at "Please, sir, may I have some more."
I didn't Fagin.
That's the thing. I didn't even know Fagin.
Oh, okay.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, that's it. Literally the name Fagin, the Artful Dodger, Oliver Twist. They're orphans. Pickpocket. Yeah. That's kind of it. You've got to pick a pocket or two.
Oh, I know that.
Yeah, you know that. Yes. So this is set in Australia.
Yeah. Dodger. The Artful Dodger.
The Artful Dodger.
He's left in prison by Fagin.
Yeah.
And he goes and starts a new life in
a penal colony.
Yeah.
Australia was
an Australian penal colony as a surgeon, as a rather talented surgeon. Mm-hmm. And so the show is Fagin kind of comes back into his life around the time that he meets the governor's daughter. Fagin is trying to pull him back into a life of crime so that he'll do this job for this guy that Fagin is in debt to. Whereas the governor's daughter is trying to pull him further into the world of medicine because she wants to further her own agenda of increasing women's presence in medicine.
Yeah.
And
But
so
she wants to be the first female surgeon.
she wants to be the first female surgeon. So yeah, it's like, yeah, that's the kind of central conflict of the show. Everyone plays their part really well. David Thewlis is so much fun in this. The dialogue is really fun as well. Everyone's just really likable.
Yeah, I think I told you, I think it's a contractual obligation that Damon Harriman has to be in every Australian production. There's like 4 or 5 actors, he's one of them, that if it's Australian, they're in it.
Yeah.
But no, he's good. Yeah, no, they're all great, and it was a bit of a surprise, because it kind of met the criteria for me to watch it, but I just thought, I don't know. Like, The Artful Dodger, I just don't. But you watched it, it was good, it was the end of the year, I thought, I'll get it in. And yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I always think, though, obviously there's like an ongoing banter between the British and Australians, because Australians are descended from the penal colony.
Yeah.
And I always think of that thing in Only Fools and Horses, where Del's trying to sell like a shit car, an old rusted out motor, to some Australian guy. And he says, well, you think I'm going to get, played by some Cockney villain? And he says, well, on to be fair, if your granddad hadn't been a bloody villain, you could have been one of us. But yeah, no, it's a really good show.
And it's a nice example of, like I said, she's trying to push this agenda of women need, I want to be the first surgeon, women need a greater presence in medicine, they need a greater presence everywhere. But the show, like, it's completely appropriate, because I think the show is set in like the 1800s.
Yeah.
These are absolutely the conversations that they would be having at the time.
I mean, there may
met
be
with actual proper resistance,
Yeah. I mean, there may be an element of kind of a modern mindset in an inappropriate, like women being like that. Her really didn't exist, like in reality. But it's fine. It's not a problem.
The show doesn't get lost in that.
No. Yeah, but it does. I mean, it's filmed. It feels very modern.
Yeah. The music is doesn't even attempt to be diegetic.
No,
Joker and the Thief is kind of the unofficial anthem of that show.
It's in the school of Peaky Blinders. It did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Beef
had a very good pilot.
Yeah.
I liked Beef. I was done with Beef when it ended.
Yes.
But yeah, I like broadly. I if I was going to put it in any list, I'd put it in this one. I liked both of them. Stephen Yeun is just like going from like good project to good project. I really like where he's going with his career at the moment. Forgot the name of the woman.
Ali Wong, I think is her name.
Ali Wong. She was fine. She did. She served it well enough. There's not much to say about it.
No, there's not. I wouldn't have put it on my list. It's because I think it's a decent show with a really good pilot.
Yeah.
Weird choice of song at the end of it, but it's fine. Okay. Like, I don't think it deserves to have swept the awards the way it has.
Possibly not, but I would not discourage anyone from trying.
No, give it a go.
Yeah.
Okay, The Eric Andre Show, Season 6.
Yes, okay. I just found it really reassuring to watch a show that has not only passed its intended endpoints, but that has lost one of its long-standing staples at Hannibal.
Yeah.
But it still feels just as fresh and good as when it started. I mean, The Eric Andre Show, it's one of those shows where you're either tuned into its frequency or you're not.
Yeah.
But as someone that is tuned into its frequency, I really appreciate that it's not just content with being unique. It seems to still actively be striving to be the best at whatever the fuck it is it's doing.
Yeah, there's nothing else like it.
Yeah.
But you can't say.
But it knows that, like, or at least it thinks, well, that's not enough. We still have to be good at it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
One of yours, German Genius.
Yeah, well, I've already kind of brought it up to you, so you know.
Yeah.
But do you think anybody else knew that there was a German adaptation of Extras that came out last year that Ricky Gervais was in? No. How strange.
I mean, yeah, I really no idea. And that's the kind of thing that would pop up on my radar.
Yeah.
That he was in it.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, it's weird as well because it's not The Office, you know. The Office is kind of has... It's such a flexible framework and it takes place in such a universal environment.
Yeah.
You could film The Office anywhere.
Yes.
You could do a version of The Office on the moon and you could make it work. Extras feels incredibly... In a way, it almost feels unadaptable. Because, like, if you've got, like, a British extra and a lot of the comedy is coming from American actors, famous American actors, and the show is subverting your expectations of them.
Yes.
So, Daniel Radcliffe is a bit of a slut.
Yeah.
Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, they're both slut. Everyone's a slut, basically.
Well, but like Patrick Stewart's like a dirty old man.
Yeah.
Daniel Radcliffe is like a horny teenager.
Yeah.
Kate Winslet is just kind of foul-mouthed.
Yeah.
Ross Kemp is a wimp.
Yes. Yeah.
So it kind of inverts
Yeah, so it doesn't feel like something that's that translatable to.
No,
other
I mean you
places.
could do an American version easily. You know, like the show that he does, Whistle in the Wind, or whatever the fuck it's called, which is like Mrs. Brown's Boys, basically.
Yeah.
You could easily do an American version of that. It would lose the novelty. I mean, you'd have to have like, I was going to say like Robert De Niro, but he's actually in extras.
Yeah.
You'd have to have DiCaprio. You'd have to have like A-list people in it. But you'd still lose that novelty. Because it's, the fact it's British.
Yeah.
And Samuel L. Jackson is in it. Is in like a BBC show.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. And that's the thing, because it's kind of like unadaptable, because it's like, well, they've done the American thing. It's like, what's the German version of Samuel L. Jackson or, Ricky Gervais meeting these people or not? But in fairness to German Genius, that's kind of where the show starts.
Right.
It's about this guy that's trying to adapt extras. That's the plot. And so, that's kind of what the first episode is about. It's like, well, how do we do this? It's like, oh, well, how about, rather than Hollywood celebrities, it's famous Germans from history.
Right.
Einstein and like that kind of stuff. They don't do the
go
obvious
on.
one. They don't do the obvious one, Sam. Because he wasn't German.
Look,
see?
No, I know, but as far as the world is concerned, there's one famous German.
Yeah,
he's
well,
not German.
it
What
doesn't
Hitchens said, the greatest thing two greatest things Austria ever did was convincing the world that Mozart was Viennese and that Hitler was German. Yeah.
It's weird. Obviously, it's weird because it's a British sense of humour being filtered through a German sense of humour. So it wasn't always clear whether I was supposed to be laughing or not.
Is there a German sense of humour?
I'm sure there is.
What's the Henning Venn, the German comedian, which his joke is like...
It was in the mid-90s.
Oh, yeah, no, that's him on Would I Like to. I mean, his thing is obviously like German, on time and punctual and like not messing around, all that kind of thing. But he says... he's talking about dreams at one point. So how would I know? All my dreams are in black and white, in which people just get on with their jobs.
Yeah.
Silent movies. Sorry, not black and white. All my dreams are silent movies.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's here just because, like, I feel like it should be. Mm-hmm. You know?
Because it's unique again. And,
it's such a strange... I don't know if they're going to be doing more. I mean, the hook for the second season is that this German guy is now going with Ricky Gervais to America, so I don't know where they're going to take it.
Right.
But it's kind of... Yeah, it's such an interesting, like, thing that exists. I feel compelled to draw attention to it.
No, fair. It reminds me a little bit in that sense of Nirvana, the band, the show. Which, like, okay, there's nothing else really like that.
Yeah.
You know? Jury duty.
Another thing where it's like, well, there's nothing else like this, is there?
And possibly not replicable.
No.
Unfortunately.
Even by itself, because haven't they already said, like, they're not doing any
Yeah,
more?
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, it's been so successful at the awards and everything that it's hard to imagine that they won't be
Well, it
compelled.
convinced me that James Marsden could act.
Yeah, he's really good in it.
Yeah.
He is really good in it. It's one of those things that I expected. I thought, this would be middle of the road,
Yeah.
you know, and in some ways it is. But I'm really pleasantly surprised. Because, like, American mockumentaries now, you know, they're all in the shadow of the British office and the American office.
Yeah.
But obviously this is a mockumentary with a twist. Do we explain?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you haven't seen it, Jury Duty is basically the producers sent out casting calls, essentially, for people who wanted to be involved in a documentary about what it was like to be on a jury, the life of a jury member. People responded, they picked this one guy, and then they surrounded him with actors playing characters. Everyone in the trial is an actor. Absolutely everybody except him. He thinks he's part of a genuine trial.
Yeah.
And so it's filmed, he thinks a documentary, but everyone else it's a mockumentary. So a lot of it is them responding to what he does and everything. But then there are parts of it, and how they manage to kind of weave it is great. The characters have these little arcs and stories and everything.
Yeah.
And it's watching this guy not knowing that he's in the Truman Show, basically, for months. I don't know, it was really like, and heartwarming as well. It was really nice. Do you know what I mean? Because it's the kind of comedy like Parks and Rec that doesn't have to be cruel. Not that I have any problem with that really, but it's not cruel comedy. And at the end, you know, the big reveal, it's just great.
Yeah.
And James Marsden, crucially, is on the jury playing a version of himself.
Yeah.
Because all the actors are unknowns, you know, for obvious reasons. Except we recognised one guy, didn't we?
Yeah.
Something Purdy, I think his name is. Yeah, but James Marsden's playing a version of himself that's on the jury and like tries to get relieved from it, by kind of getting paparazzi to show up. It's like, oh god, it's because I'm famous, and it's playing a really obnoxious, self-centered version of himself.
There's an episode where he he makes it so that the jury is sequestered, so they're all stuck in to obviously preserve the fact that so this guy doesn't know that he's in like a fake show, and James Marsden comes over to do line readings with him for this film that they've made up. And he, they set it all up, obviously doesn't actually do it, but he takes a massive shit in this guy's toilet and, clogs it up. And so they're trying to, that's what they do. They kind of, they sort of, set up these little, scenarios for this guy and go, what are you going to do?
Yes.
And they just see what he does.
Yeah.
And again, not in a cruel kind of fucking, do something, monkey. They actually, at the end of it, they kind of go through all of the decisions that he made over the course of the show. And it's like, in a way, you were the one that was on trial.
Yeah, you're a decent guy, basically.
This is what we think of your character.
Yeah.
Utterly unique. It's absolutely
and it just that setup, it's endlessly compelling.
Yeah.
Watching someone who doesn't know what's going on around them while you do is just endlessly compelling.
Yes.
I think the show working at its best, because the final episode, it's kind of, they tell him at the very beginning, and then the whole thing is kind of peeling back the scenery and showing him how and when you see their notes and their schedules of they have to hit these beats and kind of and the bailiff accidentally calls one of the actors by their real name.
Yeah, so they invent a character.
So they have to quickly invent a character. They put a writer in a suit and send them out. Go, oh, hey, here's your bag. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. But I think working at its best, I think they wanted to hit this beat, but he got there for them, which is when they were waiting to go in for jury selection. One of the guys who's also a writer comes up to him and says, oh, I really want to get out of this. What should I do? And he said, the only thing I know is something I saw on Family Guy, where Peter says he's racist, joking with him.
Yeah.
And then when he's in the jury room, he says, I'm racist. And the guy has his head in his hands, and the judge says, who told you to say that? And he's looking at the guy, and the guy's like, don't fucking say it with me, shut the fuck up. And then I think in the final episode they reveal that they actually wanted to contrive that situation, but he just happened to say it.
Yeah.
So just a really interesting experiment that maybe we'll never see again because people have cottoned onto it. But I hope they manage to do something similar.
Yeah.
One Piece.
Netflix, one of Netflix's little hobbies at the moment seems to be commissioning live-action adaptations of Japanese anime.
Yes.
That have little to no understanding or respect for the original source material.
Right.
And the resulting shows and films like Death Note from 2017, Cowboy Bebop, the Avatar show that's on at the moment, they're all so god-awful that not even Netflix could be getting anything out of this arrangement.
Yeah.
And so I don't know whether it's just a monkey typewriter situation.
Stop clock.
Stop clock?
A stop clock situation.
What's that?
Well, it's right twice a day.
Oh, right, yeah. Stop clock situation. Yeah. Or whether they just happened to pick really passionate people that kept the original creator close by when they were making this. But yeah, I thought One Piece was pretty good.
Okay.
It's probably one of those rare examples of... I mean, it's an adaptation that manages to capture this sense of adventure and silliness and feels just effortless enough for you to go, well, why is this the exception rather than the rule?
Right.
And I would say that it's one of the rare examples where an adaptation was probably called for in some respects, because this 8-episode season, they've adapted the first 45 episodes of this anime that has 1,100 episodes and is still going.
Right.
So for the people that are probably too intimidated to give it a go, this is a good little window into this is the kind of thing you can expect.
Yeah, is One Piece read the original thing?
I don't know. I know that there's also a manga, which I think...
There's something called One Piece Red that I feel like...
that's
I've
probably
encountered.
A film. There's 15 films as well, and it's all the same continuity as far as I know.
Okay. I trust that it's good. It's also a thing that I stay away from. You know what I mean? Anime and anime adaptation. It's just not my cup of tea, but I trust that it's good. I think it had really good reviews.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
Okay. Mutual, Poker Face.
Yeah.
I probably need to rewatch it because I sort of consumed it all in one, which is a bad thing to do.
I don't think this show is... You shouldn't watch it all in one go.
No, it's the Sugar on Mars bar situation. It's just too much.
Yeah.
It's too much twisty and too much dialogue, too much colourful, too much creamery, too much, you know. but it's very good. It's Ryan Johnson sticking to his murder mystery thing.
Yeah.
He seems to be very good at them.
Yeah.
Glass Onion,
Yeah,
we have our problems
he knows
with
how
that,
to have fun with them.
Yeah.
But yeah, also create things that are good. As you said, like elevated entertainment. Like,
oh, as in like it's the kind of the highest form of lowest common denominator. Not lowest common denominator, but yeah, mainstream entertainment. It's the highest form it gets. It's not quite art. So it's the best pure entertainment that you get.
Yeah.
Like Knives Out, it's not profound. It's really entertaining, but it's incredibly well written. The dialogue's really good. Yeah, so it's the best at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of anthological. Each episode, usually 2, isn't it? Are 2 the kind of same, or am I misremembering that? No, it's every one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, every episode's kind of a different... The main character travels around the country, solving something. But there is a continuity to it. It's not completely...
Yeah, every episode is a different mystery. And every episode follows the same formula as Knives Out, where the first act, you see the murder take place.
Yes.
The perfect murder take place.
Yes.
And then the main character shows up and starts to cotton on to the fact it's a mystery and starts to try and unravel it.
And she knows when people are lying. That's the thing, right?
That's her kind of like quote-unquote superpower.
That's a superpower.
Is she's always able to tell when people are lying. She doesn't know what they're lying about.
Yeah.
And she doesn't know why they're lying. But she knows that someone's lied.
Yes. Okay, so this is one of mine. You've seen clips from it. This would have been in my top 10, but it's just not the kind of show that I would put in a top 10.
Okay.
Though it deserves to be, which is Real Time with Bill Maher, season 21.
I kind of see why, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I think scripted, we're going with. They have to be in the top 10,
probably,
right?
yeah.
I mean, I'm a fan of the show, especially now, but it hit a particular something for me in its last season after Israel, the attack in Israel.
Okay.
And he was one of like the 10 voices that were being sensible about the thing. And it was genuinely, it's refreshing. He's like Sam Harris to me, which is, I can get so angry by hearing the response to things. And then I listen to them and I go, there's somebody. Genuinely like, not like, I wouldn't say life-changing, but life-balming, life-soothing. Like, okay, it's okay. You're not like completely alone on this.
Yeah.
I just think it's brilliant.
Well, yeah, I suppose my question would be, because I have a rule about documentaries, don't I? That you need to separate the subject matter from the content.
Yeah.
You could have a documentary which is about something incredible, but is very lazily made. Or you could have a documentary that's about something really obscure or strange, like Blackfish or Tickled. But the quality of the film elevates the whole thing.
Yeah.
And so my question to you is season 21 here because it deserves to be as a show, or is it because of the stuff that he's covering?
No, it's because of the stuff that he's covering. Like it's you know, it wasn't designed to be as good as it was.
Yeah.
It's circumstance, you know. It's like you find yourself in a certain circumstance, and that's a test of your mettle. And it was kind of what that was. It happened to be. I mean, Real Time with Bill Maher, if it continues this way, it'll always be in my good honourable mentions. But just it needs to be singled out particularly because of what happened. Yeah, I mean, the show is the same as it's always been. You know, it's a political talk show. There's nothing kind of. It's what it's always been. The same segments, new rules, all that kind of thing. But yeah, it just had a gravitas that it hasn't always had for me this year.
Okay.
And like I've seen him do interviews with like on his podcast Club Random that's supposed to be laid back and everything, and they don't have to talk about politics. And he did one with David Mamet, and the first thing David Mamet did was thank him for what he'd said about Israel. And I was like, I'm not Jewish, but like that's exactly what I would do if I met him as well. Got really earnest there. Season 26 of South Park.
Yeah. I'm going to be echoing a lot of what I said with the films, and also kind of what I said with Eric Andre.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if they ever planned to finish South Park, or whether they've just been assuming that they're on borrowed time. But yeah, 6 episodes, and what's nice about it is that it feels like they've kind of refocused going into this season. I dip in at South Park every now and again, and I think it was like season 19 or season 20, a couple of years back, where they started to serialize everything. And so instead of each episode being this kind of hit piece of this big contemporary issue, they would go for one thing over the entire season. I think it was like Online Trolls.
Okay.
Which feels really like beneath South Park to do a whole season.
When was
on
this
that
now?
topic? Probably like mid 2010s, I think.
Oh, okay. I was going to say recently. Well, a bit late to the party there.
Yeah.
But no, okay. The one I remember is the one where there's a weed farm.
Yeah, and I think it's the same trajectory The Simpsons went on, where they started with a lot of Bart-centric stories, and then as the writers got older, it became more about Homer.
Yes.
Started off about the kids, but then they started to write a lot of stories about Stan's parents, Randy, and all that kind of stuff. This season is very much, it's refocusing back on the kids.
Okay.
And they do an episode on Prince Harry. They do an episode on...
Oh, the apology tour. No, not the apology tour.
Privacy tour.
Privacy tour, that's it. Yeah.
That's a brilliant episode. They do an episode about ChatGPT and AI, where they literally they get themselves into this situation, and then they basically just go, ChatGPT is going to write the rest of the episode.
Okay.
And it does. The rest of the episode is AI generated.
Yeah.
I'm rather happy with where South Park's at the moment.
Okay. I'm going to get around to it. There's just a lot of it. And I can't start. I can't start now. I know what you mean,
yeah.
And finally, The Way of the House Husband.
Yes. An anime adaptation of a webcomic showing bite-sized chunks of the exploits of a fearsome Yakuza assassin that has retired to a life of domestic bliss as a stay-at-home house husband.
Okay.
It is light entertainment to a T.
Okay.
It is...
Is it?
Yeah. No.
But it's about the Yakuza.
No, honestly, it is unchallenging, dare I say unambitious, and very, very silly.
Okay.
Every episode... the second season, it's only 5 episodes. Each episode is 15 minutes to 20 minutes long. And within each episode, there are 6 minisodes.
Okay.
So there are some stories that are literally 2 minutes long. And I think it's one of those shows where it takes you as much effort watching it as they probably put into making it. So there's kind of a nice balance between you as a consumer and them as creators.
Okay. Yeah.
Where it feels like everybody's kind of on the same level watching it. And the animation as well, I found quite interesting because I called it an anime. Animatics is probably a better description.
Okay, yeah.
An episode will kind of start and the camera will just be panning over still images. And if they're showing something like a character walking down the street, you'll just see a full body PNG bobbing up and down in the frame.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden it'll explode into dynamic posing and energetic animation on the punchlines.
Okay.
And instead of feeling lazy, it feels like it's mirroring the kind of rhythm and flow of someone's voice when they're telling a comedic story well.
Okay.
And the show is just completely its own thing. And it's just so light and easy to consume that I don't see why anyone wouldn't give it a go.
Is that a hint?
I mean, I know you don't like anime.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's 15-minute episodes and there are 6 episodes within that. So you literally watch one and go it's not for me.
All right. Okay. And now, 2 and whatever hours into our top 10 of the year podcast.
Finally, the top
10 of the year.
It begins.
Okay, how do you want to do this? Who goes first?
It's up to you.
I'll go first.
Okay.
My number 10, top 10 of the year, is women talking.
Okay.
I saw this at the very beginning of the year.
Okay.
On paper, it has many components that are unattractive, that made me think, oh, here we go. Especially after it won the Oscar for adapted screenplay. Oh, this is going to be dreadful.
Right.
That's a good sign. But I was pleasantly surprised. So it's by Sarah Polley, formerly an actress who's in the masterpiece Dawn of the Dead, the Zack Snyder remake.
Oh, okay.
And it's adapted from a book, basically based on a true story about a group of women in this kind of Amish-esque colony, cult kind of thing in New York, where they found out that the men were raping the girls, the underage girls. And then they had to decide whether they were going to stay, leave, fight, whatever. So the film is basically a conversation about what they're going to do, as they all hash it out in a barn. It's people in rooms talking.
I was going to say, like you said, that there are a lot of elements that were unattractive, and yet at the same time, it's literally called women talking.
Yeah.
It's right there on the label.
Yeah, but it's women talking.
It's not men talking, is it?
It's not the West Wing, it's women talking. Yeah. No, I don't know, I thought it was well put together. The cast are unanimously good. Jessie Buckley in particular. Ben Whishaw was the standout for me. Thought he was really good, which must be annoying. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say, really. Just a good script and really good performances. I can't honestly claim that I love the film. I mean, it's been an okay year, but, it isn't number 10. I don't love it, but I think it's good. Really good.
Yeah. I've got my problems with it. Not massive problems, in fairness. Like, I don't begrudge you for putting it in your top 10.
Mm-hmm.
I think the two things that stood out for me, it's got that colour grading that I hate.
I agree with that.
I think fool's monochrome was the term that I assigned to it.
Fool's monochrome.
Where it's so devoid of colour, you may as well just make it black and white.
Yes.
And the advantage of black and white is that the image... I mean, have you seen a Robert Eggers film?
Yeah.
You can make black and white films look fucking gorgeous. Mm-hmm. And this is just so ugly. And I understand that, this is not an easy watch. It's a difficult subject. It's not supposed to be... Yeah, it's not supposed to be a good time.
No, well, I think we talked about this yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah.
I think the argument against using black and white, which I would have been okay with, is it maybe kind of gives the sense that it looks like a period piece anyway because they're out of time. They're dressed like Amish women in the 1800s. Mm. But it's meant to be contemporary, right? The argument would be like, oh, this is about now. And so making it black and white would have grounded it in another time. And also, the idea is they're meant to be having a nuanced discussion. So grey is what it should be, not black and white. But no, I see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the other problem was... And in fairness, I don't know whether this is a problem that I have with me or whether it's the film's problem. There was a character, I can't remember her name, but it's one of the older women. And whenever she's kind of contributing to the conversation, she brings up her horses a lot.
Yeah.
And uses them and kind of situations that she's been in with them as a way of articulating herself because she lacks the language to articulate herself properly. Because these are not educated women.
No.
They can't even read. And so, when she wants to kind of make a point, she kind of says, like, I used to be scared of the roads that I go down with my horses, but I learned that if I looked ahead to the horizon, then it was a lot easier. And that felt like a really good way of getting around the fact that these women are subject to limitations that are not their fault. No,
but they're quite literate for literally illiterate women.
That's the problem. Yeah, some of these women are just a bit too well spoken.
No, I
agree. There's ways around it, like what I've just said, or maybe you could contextualize it as though they are not being educated. The men obviously are, and so they've picked up a lot from their sons and their husbands.
Yeah, their attitude is more kind of uneducated, illiterate. Not all of them. But a lot like, oh, come on, we gotta stay. They're deferential in that way. But they talk like they've read.
Yeah.
That's just the kind of the failure of the writer kind of, well, they're going to be well spoken because I am. You know what I mean? It's
yes.
that, like Aaron Sorkin's characters, what would a stupid Aaron Sorkin character sound like?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but I see where you're coming from. You're advocating the life is like a box of chocolates strategy, where that's kind of how he conceptualizes it because that's what his mum told him.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Use their world experience as a way of them articulating themselves, not something that we know they've been deprived of, i.e. an education.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, absolutely fine.
What is your number 10?
My number 10 is Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. Shut up, Sam.
I didn't say a word.
I sensed you were about to.
Didn't say a word.
Bear in mind...
2 campaigns.
These are your rules that I'm sticking to here.
Yeah.
If I was allowed to do my own thing, this wouldn't be in my top 10. Although, in fairness, it's only been elevated 3 places by the things that I've taken out.
Gotta take the good with the bad, Jord.
But it's my top 10.
Yeah, but I have to take the good with the bad, Jord.
Obviously it's no masterpiece or anything.
No.
It was the first good film of the year that I saw. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of shit at the beginning that we had to sift through. But I mean this is a nice example of just maybe not as good as Knives Out, but the same kind of thing where it's almost slightly elevated, lowest common denominator entertainment. It's the people who made Game Night.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of comedy, it's that kind of energy, it's that kind of vibe. And I think that the thing that I really liked about it was that I didn't know much going in, so I wasn't expecting it to be a heist film. I wasn't expecting it to be a comedy. I thought it was just going to be their attempt at building a Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it was just going to be, all of the spells are just going to be them blowing things up and uncreative swordplay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wasn't. It did actually manage to capture that sense of, when you're confronted with a problem in a D&D campaign and you find these creative solutions. No.
Go on.
That's not fair because they can't hear. the look that you're giving me right now, but I can.
Okay. You can hear
That is a loud look you're giving me.
Okay. Go on.
Yeah. No, it was more it was more creative than I was expecting it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And it managed to do that without having to put in the characters under the same limitations you'd be subject to when you're actually playing D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw it once. I saw it a long time ago now, relatively speaking, and we reviewed it. So all my comments would be, we should have done this beforehand.
Yeah, it would be in the episode that we reviewed it in. I think
we'll put it in the description.
Yeah, I think it was 69. I think that was the episode.
Yeah, we'll put it in the description.
Okay.
It was fine. It's just not my cup of tea.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to.
Okay,
number 9.
Oh, this is going great so far.
I think we're mostly agreed, George, to be fair, so don't worry about it. Number 9, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret.
No.
No?
No.
No, okay.
To the question, I realised that might seem like a...
Yeah, I said it and you went no.
Yeah. No, I did like this film.
Yeah. Again, a nice surprise. Like, classic book, I've never read. It's geared towards teenage girls.
Yeah.
Really well shot, well put together, really, really well written. I thought Rachel McAdams was great in it. Did we review this?
No, I don't think we
No, we
got around
didn't.
to it, yeah.
Okay. Again, I saw it once and a long time ago, so unfortunately, we don't have enough due diligence that we rewatched everything.
Yeah.
But I liked it a lot. And the child actors weren't annoying, which is a
the child actors were really good in it. I mean, when I put a film on, usually I will watch it. It's not like I put something on and then just like go off and do something else. Mm-hmm. But there was a point where I realised that Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret didn't have my full attention. Okay. And I regretted not giving it my full attention.
Okay. Was it your fault or the film's fault?
No, I think it was probably my fault. I think I sort of went into it and was like, yeah, it's good, but it's not my type of thing. And then towards the end, it was like, oh yeah, this is actually quite nice. I wish I'd paid more attention in the beginning.
It was really nice seeing Benny Safdie in it as well. Like, he's kind of, he acts now, he's an Oppenheimer, but I thought, like, he's good in good time, but he's barely in it. And it was nice seeing him, he's playing dad.
Yeah.
No frills, like, it's just, he's a dad.
Yes.
He's a nice dad, and he was really good in it. And I think of all the snubs and robberies of the Academy, I think Rachel McAdams really deserved the supporting actress nomination.
I would agree.
Okay, what's your number 9?
Season 2 of The Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Season 2 of The Bear.
Yeah.
It's no Season 1 of The Bear.
No, it's not.
I think the first episode's fine, but in the episodes that follow, so I think like 2 till 5 or 2 till 6 or however many it is, they clearly want to put more focus on the supporting casts. And that's fine. Mm-hmm. It does kill a lot of the momentum that The Bear had coming out of Season 1.
Yes.
Which is unfortunate. But I do think that it does manage to kind of get back on its feet towards the end. And I really, really like the final episode. I think it's a very good episode.
To be fair, The Bear Season 2 didn't have my full attention when I was watching it.
Okay.
And because of how lauded it is, best show on TV kind of thing, I will probably go back and rewatch it. But it just didn't hit me in that I don't gel with that show as much as maybe I should. Okay. But I will give it another go. It's certainly not it's not something I'd put on the bad list or anything like that.
No, I can absolutely see why you probably would have lost your way, like in the early episode, like that episode where he goes to Denmark or wherever it is, and Will Poulter teaches him how to make pastry. That
is one genuine problem. Overkill of cameos.
Okay.
Especially Olivia Colman. It was kind of, why?
I mean, that was just like, oh, she's here, okay.
But that's the thing, it's Olivia Colman. That's what you think when you watch it.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
It is emblematic of a show that had a really successful first season, and now for season 2, they're going to get in all these famous faces. And you don't have to do that. One of the beauties of The Bear is that basically the entire cast are unknowns. I mean, I knew Jeremy Allen White from Shameless, and I knew Ebon Moss-Backrack from an episode of Fringe that he'd been in.
Right.
But nobody else.
Yeah.
And so when you start bringing in, it's like, it loses its kind of little weird Chicago obscure show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's hit mainstream now, and it's like, you got to be careful, I think. I always worry about that.
Okay, that's fair enough. But yeah, I do think it gets back on its feet. The watershed for me was Ebon, his episode, the Cousins episode. Because I realised at that point that, like, I actually really like that character.
Yeah, no, he's...
And I'm really invested in, like, seeing him improve,
One interesting thing is, because the Emmys were so late, season 2 of The Bear was winning awards at various award shows, but season 1 is what was up at the Emmys.
Oh, right.
So there is an element of they're winning awards really for season 2. Like, Ebon Moss-Backrack, really good in season 1. I wouldn't have said he was Emmy winning. Like, he's the dead cert Emmy winner.
Yeah.
He's winning for season 2, and he'll probably win again for season 2.
Yeah.
But no, he is good.
Yeah.
Okay, number 8. Barry season 4.
This is a little higher up the list for me.
Yeah, so we'll wait.
We'll come back to it.
Yeah. What's your 8?
My number 8 is Silo.
Okay, so that's something that would have gone in my honourable mentions.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we should say as well, there are 3 things that would be on our honourable mentions that we haven't mentioned
because they're in someone
else's top 10.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Silo, it's a show that really knows how to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the main character of the show doesn't even show up until the end of episode 1, and she doesn't become the main focus until, like, episode 3.
Yeah.
Or late into episode 2, I think. And that's because the show knew it has a completely unique world that it has to build, and it's got a central mystery that it needs to layer.
Yeah.
And so it spends the first episode doing that with characters that, don't make it past that point in the show. And the show is all the better for it, because it never sits you down and go, right, this is the silo, this is the history of this is the and these are these people, and this is the function they serve. You just pick all that up as you go. And it also knows when it's time to kill a character.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just like when that final episode ended and that big reveal happened. I was like, hell yeah, I'm up for the next season.
I really like the design of it, the look of it. And to be fair, this is another show that I have to revisit because I don't feel like I gave that my full attention either. But I did like it. I don't know, loads of these shows, I mean, the problem with Netflix is they just drop all the episodes.
Yeah. Well, this is Apple, but I take your point.
Oh, it's Apple. Oh, never mind then. But the problem, because I think they do like 3 at once and then it's weekly.
Which is strange.
Which is,
Yeah.
You end up you can get a little bit, you can take your eye off the ball. But I will revisit it, yeah. And a good cast as well, very good
cast. It's a good cast, yeah. And like I say, it's episode 3, the second half of episode 3. There's a big action set piece. Or not like action, but like thrillery set piece that they could only do because they've done such a good job building the world up until that point.
Yeah.
And I think that was the moment where I knew, okay, I really like this show.
Mm-hmm.
It knows exactly what it's doing, and I have full faith, full confidence in it.
It kind of scratches the lost itch a little bit as well, doesn't it? Like mythology and its mystery.
Yeah.
And load of ensemble cast and everything.
Yeah, and it's intelligent as well.
Yeah. Okay, my number 7 is the Kane Mutiny Court Martial.
Yeah, this would have been in my like good things we missed list.
I dare say no one has seen this.
Probably not.
In the UK. I mean, I barely saw it. It kind of... Because it wasn't released, obviously not theatrically, but if you went digging, it was kind of released on some obscure...
Showtime, I think.
Was it Showtime? Okay.
Yeah.
At some point in the kind of thing. And then I went back to it. It's my... it's everything I love to a T. It's courtroom drama.
Yeah. Pure courtroom drama.
Pure courtroom drama. Based on a play that is itself based on a novel and film about the Kane Mutiny. And this is the court-martial that precedes it. Great cast. Jason Clarke was a standout.
Yeah.
You said it was interesting because in Oppenheimer...
Yeah, he kind of plays both sides across those two
Defense
films.
and prosecutor. Kiefer Sutherland is really, really good.
Yeah, nice to see him trying again.
Act. Yeah. No, definitely. And I just loved its message. I loved its ethos, its philosophy, which is essentially, I don't want to give too much away, but you're kind of on one side for most of the film, and Kiefer Sutherland is like the Jack Nicholson character in A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
But that's kind of flipped on its head. And there's a whole thing about, after 9/11, a lot of people signed up to be in the army and the Marines. This guy was already there. So like give him some fucking respect, basically.
Yeah.
I just like that about it. It was William Friedkin's final film. Director of The Exorcist and that kind of thing, which is not the kind of final film that you'd think, oh, that is a fitting... And
one could look at this and go, oh, okay, because it's obviously directed very well, because all the performances are really great, but the whole film is basically in one room.
Yeah.
And it's the cinematography is very function over form.
Yes.
The cameras are they're there to observe what's happening and nothing else, really.
Yeah.
It's a filmed play.
It is.
But it's not to the film's detriment.
No, it's about the writing.
Yeah.
It's all about the writing. And he knew that. That's the thing. The director of visionary director, The Exorcist, all these things, The French Connection. And his final project was this little courtroom drama. And just like, It just shows his versatility.
Yeah.
And like to go out on that is actually a high. What's your number 7?
My number 7 is Oppenheimer.
We will come back to that.
Okay.
My number 6 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Come back to it.
Yeah. What's your number 6?
My number 6 is Reality.
Honourable mention.
Okay.
But a high honourable mention.
Yes.
Like 11.
Well, yeah, Kane Mutiny was my 11.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. there you go.
And funnily enough, because both of these films are films that probably no one has seen.
Yeah, true.
Reality, the film, not Reality itself. Yes. We'll get that joke out of the way. That would
be
in the bottom 10.
That wouldn't be in the dishonourable mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that'd be right down there with Rebel Moon, that
Yes.
would. Yeah. This film is just way too interesting for me to not having put it on this list.
Yeah.
It's actually like... It's a film that I really hope that people who are getting into film find. Because I found myself watching it and thinking they're not quite biopics. I don't know how you categorize them. I guess like historical dramas.
Well, Reality.
No, films like She Said and Worth, where they're kind of about historical events through the prism of the people that like facilitated them.
Yeah.
So Worth is about this guy that had to basically figure out what they were going to pay the families of the victims at 9/11. Mm-hmm. She Said is about uncovering like the Harvey Weinstein scandal and all that kind of stuff. But it's kind of also a biopic about the people that were at the forefront of that. Mm-hmm. And those films are like, they're usually like 2 hours, 2.5 hours long. They get acting nominations and writing nominations at the Oscars, and they're all so fucking boring.
Yeah.
And I was just watching Reality thinking, this is absolutely the way that we need to go in terms of telling those stories.
Unfortunately, we can't for most of the time, right? Because it is a verbatim piece. That's the crucial thing about it.
Yeah, I mean, there would have to be a level of invention.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the things that makes Reality so interesting. The film is about this is like actually happened. The FBI had reason to suspect that this translator who was working for like a section of the US government called Reality Winners.
That's her actual name.
Winner, I think. Or Winner, her
Yeah.
actual fucking name.
Yeah.
They had reason to suspect that she had leaked documentation to the media that confirmed Russia's complicity in the 2016 US election.
Yes.
So they went to her house, they conducted a search, and they interviewed her on site, and they had a voice recorder recording everything.
Yeah.
The script for the film is that recording.
Yes.
Verbatim.
Yes.
Every every pause, every interaction that goes nowhere, people walking into rooms and then leaving, every overheard conversation, it's all there.
Yeah.
And wow, does it work.
It does. I mean, I've seen verbatim theatre. That's a kind of class of theatre. And I've seen, I think there's a film called London Road, which is verbatim. But I can't even really remember that. So this is the first like really good verbatim film that I've seen.
Because what's nice about it as well is because the character obviously knows what she's done, but she doesn't know that the FBI know.
Yeah.
And the FBI are obviously trying to get it out of her.
Yeah.
So all of the exposition is just woven seamlessly into the dialogue. So you don't need scenes where Carey Mulligan is crying over her newly born baby because she's worried it's going to get raped or whatever the fuck that film is about.
Screaming at a bloke for like looking at her or something.
Yeah, it's just the climax. It's just the bit that we like. It's, it's 80 minutes, it's in and it's out. And it's absolutely...
You get everything you need from it.
We didn't need anything else.
Yeah.
This is what we should be making.
Sydney Sweeney plays Reality Winner.
Yeah, and she's great.
She's very good. As is it Josh Robinson? Is that his name? The dad in 8th grade.
Yeah, he's also very, very good at
He's very good. No, I mean, it's one of the things I like about it on a more removed level is that it's kind of a rebuttal to the thinking that, I don't know, when you see the police shooting someone, like, why don't you just shoot me in the leg?
Right.
No, that's films. In real life, you can't just decide to like shoot someone in the leg. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
And it's, you see these scenes in films and then you see what they were actually like, which is just people kind of being awkward.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, we have to do this, but it's a bit weird. Like having to constantly recheck. Is there a gun in that room? No. You sure now? Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure there's not a gun in the room?
Yeah.
Oh, my cat's here. Small talk when other people, there have to be someone watching this. Just like the sheer bureaucratic hell of doing anything. That's what I like a lot about it, which this is how it really goes.
Yeah.
It's just people in rooms being awkward with each other.
Yeah, and it has moments of invention as well, which is quite interesting. So, for example, when the script reaches the point where it would have to disclose redacted information,
Yeah.
it But, well, basically the audio drops out.
Yes, yeah.
And you'll see like the wavelength of the actual recording like disappear.
Yeah.
So they do a very good job at like, going in, like, this is what it is.
Yeah.
This is how we're handling it. Yeah, like absolutely a recommendation. This should be everywhere. People
Film
should know
school,
about this. Yeah.
Well, it's definitely one of those where I think with a bit of time will go in my top 10. One of the shames of it, of course, is they're now doing an actual biopic about reality.
Which we absolutely don't need.
Do not need
No.
whatsoever. But it's what they do. Oh, no one saw reality, and that's like a weird experimental thing.
Yeah.
Let's just do like a traditional, she's a hero.
Perfect title as well.
Reality.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, my number 5, I think, is what's next.
Yeah.
Oppenheimer.
Oh, okay.
So we can talk about Oppenheimer.
Let's do that.
Yeah, which is weird. It's a weird film for me, and it's weird that it's so high in a way, because there's a lot of things I don't like about it.
Yeah.
It's way too long.
It's probably not the right way to tell this story. We talked about that in the review that we did in 70 or 71, whichever episode it was, that this probably would have functioned better as a miniseries than as a film.
100%. Like Chernobyl. You know, like the last episode of that is the testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after the explosion, it is boring. Comparatively.
Yeah.
It is. And I love things about trials and, like, you know, the Red Scare and McCarthyism and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But after the explosion, it's these black and white things with Robert Downey Jr. Just like, and you got to sit through like an hour of it, basically.
Yeah.
It's too long. Yeah, we have reviewed it in check description. But at the same time, you know, it's visually brilliant. I mean, it's there because of the sequence. The explosion of the bomb is pure cinema.
It's pretty
amazing.
undeniable. Yeah.
And that's the reason he's winning the Oscar for Best Director. And I'm not annoyed because it's Nolan, you know, he's kind of being rewarded for his career, really. And it's a well-directed film. I think one of the problems is, and I won't go into it, but I've recently seen The Zone of Interest.
Oh, okay.
Which we'll review on the next episode. And after you watch The Zone of Interest, you kind of go, oh, Oppenheimer's kind of a farce in comparison to...
Okay.
You know, I don't know, it's just... Oppenheimer did very well financially, and it's going to be remembered for doing so well, being part of the Barbenheimer thing. But I just have a suspicion it's not really going to be remembered in the pantheon of great cinema. Whereas The Zone of Interest, for example, I think will be.
Okay.
Certainly among cineasts. But Oppenheimer is definitively the world's favourite film of 2023.
If he's sensible.
Well, no, I don't agree with it.
I'm referring more to like...
other than Barbie. Yeah. It's either Barbie or Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
But the awards, it's Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
It's its turn or whatever. You know, so... And it's fine, you know, and it's really good. It's just a shame that it's surrounded by other things like The Holdovers, which again we'll do in the next episode, that are really great.
Yeah.
But it is good. And Cillian Murphy is great. And Robert Downey Jr. sweeping, don't quite understand that, but hey, it's on the strength and momentum of the film.
Yeah, and I think it's a palate cleanser for a lot of people, probably including him, after he spent so long as Tony Stark.
I think one of his speeches he said, Christopher Nolan told me I need to get some credibility back and reinvent my career.
Okay. Well, he did do Little straight afterwards, which probably didn't help.
He did. But yeah, that's my number 5.
Yeah, no, I think the only thing that I would add to that, that bomb sequence is incredible. It's kind of like the Mission Impossible thing, though. It's like, well, you could just watch that sequence in isolation.
Yeah. And I'm debating now as we're talking, like, it shouldn't be in the top 10, really.
Oh, right.
Because there are things about it that I really, really like.
Yeah.
But reality, I prefer. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those things. Like, I just love that sequence.
Yeah, that sequence is incredible. But I do think that, like, you know, for a 3-hour film, it's not... Like, there were moments, like, towards the end of the film where I was like, I don't really know how much longer we have. So I'm starting to stray a little bit.
Well, I'll tell you another problem, is I've recently started watching a show. It was cancelled after 2 seasons, but called Manhattan, which is about the Manhattan Project.
Okay.
And it's better.
Right.
It doesn't look as good, it doesn't, you know, but it's about the people that work there and the kind of the soldiers maybe that they suspect of trying to get information out, and it's great character study, and it's hurt by dint of the things around it.
Okay. But I will say that it did carry me through. Yeah. And there are other things about it I like. I really like that final interaction with Einstein, and I think that does a lot to help the film. I think I said during the review, there's this notion among certain people that Nolan is the new Kubrick. He's a very clinical, cold filmmaker, and I think that final scene is a good rebuttal to that.
I don't know, because it's ideological.
It's ideological, but it resonates with you emotionally.
Yeah. But I mean, considering it's a 3-hour film biopic about Oppenheimer, not just about the building of the bomb, it's about him, and it's written in the first person. You don't really get to know much about him, really.
Okay.
I would say. He's still a cipher. That's the nature of Cillian Murphy. He's a cipher. That's what he does on screen.
Yeah.
That's what Christopher Nolan does on screen. He is the perfect Nolan actor. We've said that before. But yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of, as Nolan said, it ends on a necessary note of despair.
Okay.
But no, the ending is good. Yeah, okay. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Take the reins.
Okay. It's TV all the way from here, so this is my favourite film of the year.
Okay.
And yeah, like I said in the review in episode, the reputation of this film is heavily contingent on what Beyond the Spider-Verse is going to be. We'll see whether it goes up or down over the course of history. But as it stands now, given that it's nearly 2.5 hours or 2 hours 20 minutes or whatever it is, and it doesn't have an ending, I just think I really like it. It manages to be a sequel that feels necessary after a film that felt like it definitively ended.
Yeah.
And it's a film about young people, and there's a lot of young people window dressing to it, but it doesn't feel... I didn't feel alienated by anything about it. In ways, I actually connected with some of the people, some of the characters in it.
Well, again, we reviewed it. It's a lot.
Of course, yeah. If you're over a certain age, or I think you will struggle with it.
Yeah,
because it is so dense and it's so quick.
It's due a rewatch for me. Obviously, it was in my top 10. I liked it, but I think I could probably manage one rewatch a year.
Yeah,
you get your fill. Like, okay,
and like I said, over time, when the next one comes out, it probably won't be able to exist on its own.
No,
we can return to Into the Spider-Verse anytime we want.
Yes,
this will be. You'll have to watch the other one as well.
Yeah. My big problem with the film is it felt like a lot of waiting to sneeze. Yeah. It keeps ramping up no, that's not the end. That's not the end. Yeah. And you do get tired by that. And yeah, it just, to me, the animation, it wasn't as accessible as Into the Spider-Verse, because it was really pushing it. And I longed for the relative simplicity of Into the Spider-Verse.
How funny is it to say something like that, considering that it's this multiverse film about all of these different Spider-Men? Yeah,
exactly. And you know what alienated me from it a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, that hasn't really factored into my decision, or what I've done, where I've put it. Yeah, I think for the year, I feel comfortable putting it at the top of the film list.
Fair enough.
But I do think that in a way it does kind of illuminate what filmmaking was like this year. Like what films were, where they were.
It's definitely of its time. Yeah. Okay, well, my number 4, something of its time but also timeless.
Okay.
My favourite film of the year, Tar.
Ah, right, okay.
So, well, I know that because we were resetting, this was last year for you, but would it have been an honourable mention?
Yeah, probably would have, yeah.
Okay. I love it,
Okay.
I just love Tar. I love the way it's shot. Todd Field, kind of like Jonathan Glazer, doesn't make many films. When he does, it's worth tuning into. Cate Blanchett's performance is one of the greatest cinematic performances of all time. Every little nuance and beat and idiosyncrasy of her performance. The script, the dialogue is just amazing. I think I'm ideologically aligned with it. A lot of people would disagree. But as I pointed out in the review, I don't think you can make as good an argument as he makes and not believe it.
Yeah.
But that's just, unless he's like the best writer in the world.
Yeah.
And is extending that much charity to the... What else to say about it? I mean, I think it's brilliant. I think it's just brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, my relationship with it... Would you say that you're kind of... You kind of emotionally resonate with Tar? Or is it more ideological/intellectual?
Well, ideologically, yes. Intellectually, not really emotionally. It's not that kind of film.
Yeah.
Intellectually, yeah, and ideologically.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's very much my relationship to it.
Yeah.
I don't feel an emotional connection to this.
No, but it's a removed film. It is kind of a think piece.
Yeah.
That is what it is.
Yeah, and I think the nature of it makes it difficult to recommend in certain circles, certainly, but also kind of rewatch and revisit on a regular basis.
So there are the Holdovers and The Zone of Interest, 2 films that we saw. Well, you haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
I'll get around to it.
Yeah. recently, and I won't give too much of the game away, but I think The Zone of Interest is the superior film, but I like The Holdovers more.
Yeah.
And so if there had been a film like The Holdovers last year that I liked as much as Tar, in intellectually, it might have pipped it to the post.
Okay.
Because yes, Tar's not a film that I want to go back to for the feeling of it, or like to root for someone, or, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It is to think about.
Yeah.
That's what the film is. And to relish the dialogue, you know, it is... It's like Sorkin, but Sorkin's warmer. And, you know, you like the people and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, film-wise, not the greatest year. But I did really like Tar, and I think it's a special film.
Okay.
And a necessary one.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that.
Okay. Your number 4.
My number 4, Barry Season 4.
There we go.
Let's talk about it. I hadn't seen Barry when the year started. Season 4 came out. I was aware that it aired at the same time as Succession. We had the finale on the same night.
That's right.
But I was aware of Barry, and I knew it was something that I wanted to get around to eventually. So now knowing like that it's finished, and crucially that the episodes are only half an hour long. Because I'm sort of going the same direction as you.
Done after.
Yeah, I resent films that demand time from me and shows that demand.
Well, it's just because there's no need for it.
Yeah,
like usually there's no need for it. 2 hours will do.
Yeah,
for a film, it really will.
Yeah,
you know, and when you put it side by side with things, you know, like The Good Wife. Like, does Euphoria need to be over an hour long? An episode? No, The Good, you know, it's just...
Yeah, I mean, like this year alone, we've had Oppenheimer was 3 hours, Beau Was Afraid was 3.5 hours, Killers of the Flower Moon was 3.5 hours,
Dune is 2.5 hours.
Dune is 2.5 hours. Reality was 80 minutes.
Exactly.
Brilliant. Happy with that.
The Zone of Interest is under 2 hours.
Oh, could you cope with it if it was more than 2 hours?
No, but I mean, you know, it's just show. I mean, the whole film is an exercise in restraint in some way, but like even in its length, it's like, yeah, this is how long it needs to be. You know, and I always admire that. Like Andrew Dominik, who directed The Assassination of Jesse James by the Coward Robert Ford, that's 3 hours long.
Yeah,
and then he directed Killing Them Softly, which is under 90 minutes.
Yeah, he
knows how long each thing needs to be, and it does feel like we're in an era of the auteurs just make 3 hour long films now.
Yeah,
it's like when did that start? No, 2 hours will do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, going back to Barry, yeah, so I kind of watched Barry in one go, kind of. Or in very close proximity. Yeah. Thoroughly enjoyed it, very, very happy with it. What's interesting about season 4 is it feels like it's leaning more in a dramatic direction. And I don't know how conscious that was, just like, oh, we're coming to the end of it. We're going to be saying goodbye to a lot of these characters, so we really want to care about them. So a lot of the silliness, like dry silliness, I suppose, of like the first couple of seasons is gone. And that's what I mean, the tone of Barry is what I really liked about it. And the way that it presented its comedy and its drama, I really, really liked. Kind of having those big locked off wide shots.
Yeah.
Where the characters are just like doing their thing.
Yes.
And you just see everything go wrong, like a whole story unfolding in a single shot.
Yeah.
I don't think it's to its detriment. I think that it, like, the tonal shift was appropriate.
No, it works. I mean, like, Barry is one of those shows that it kind of started creating problems for the Emmys and stuff. Where it came along in a sweep of, is this a comedy? Like Orange is the New Black, or is it a drama?
Yeah.
I think the early seasons you can get away with. So I think what they ended up doing was like shows under blah blah minutes and shows. I don't know how they do it now, but like The Bear, is it a comedy? It's winning best comedy series, not a comedy. You know what I mean?
It also has a running time that's all over the place as well.
Exactly.
So you can't even do that. Yeah.
But no, Barry, I think in its earlier seasons could justly be called a comedy drama or a comedy with drama in it.
Yeah.
The final season is a drama with flicks of humour in it.
Yes.
Definitely. Which is appropriate, yeah. It's the end times.
Yeah.
It's got to get more serious. Yeah, no, I like the whole thing as well. I watched it in real time, the whole show. So I never went back to season 1 or 2. So, like, my memory is kind of gone, other than certain elements, like Ronnie Lily and all that in season 2.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say as well that, like, Ronnie Lily is probably one of the best episodes of television in recent memory.
Yeah. But no, I liked the whole thing. And it was a show that, like, we were going to get round to, basically. But, yeah, no, season 4 is great. I love the sense of doom that hangs over everything.
Yeah.
There are some bum notes, like, I don't love the ending.
Okay.
The film, like, I don't quite vibe with that.
Okay.
But it's great. It's really good.
Yeah, I'd recommend Barry to everyone. It's
Stephen Root.
Stephen Root, he's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay. My number 3 is series 3 of Happy Valley.
As is mine.
There you go. Oh, I see where this is going now.
Oh, do you know what? I think so do I.
Well, we reviewed it on... what else can we say about it now?
I still like it.
I haven't gone back to it, but I still like it a lot, and I still have the same reservations about its finale.
Yeah, and I think in a way that's kind of a testament to the show, isn't it, as well? That, it's been over a year since I've seen it, but I feel like it's still present enough in my memory that I know that my opinion has stood the test of time.
That's another thing. It's been, over a year since I've seen it, and I remember it.
Yeah.
I know exactly how the season goes, and the images of it, and it's not... I would say the first series is the best series.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
2 is decent. 3 is better in some ways than 2, but there are some characters in series 3 that are a bit
Yeah, in a way it kind of became a victim of its own quality.
Yeah.
Because it seems to... Like, once the character is introduced to Happy Valley, they're there now. They're part of the canon. They stick around.
Yeah.
And it did mean that by the end, it kind of had too many plates.
Yeah, it's introducing new people, and it doesn't need to do that. Because obviously every season had like a kind of two central storylines going on. And they kept that for the 3rd series. And the rule I learned from The Shield that I would apply if I were to ever be involved in television is, by the final season, bring it back down to the core cast again. Don't go adding new people all the time.
Yeah.
And so we didn't need the gym teacher and I'm sure we did it on our review of it. Like, we talked about how that could have gone.
Yes.
We kind of script edited it a little bit.
Yeah.
But no, it's a great show, and it was a really good series, and she's top 10 TV performances ever in that show.
Absolutely fantastic. I mean, I said to you, like, when you showed me, like, pretty much straight away when you showed me Happy Valley, I was impressed with how, like, schematic and clever the writing was. It's like, oh god, everything is happening as a consequence of everything that came before.
How schematic while being very natural.
Yeah.
The way they talk, the way they behave.
Yeah.
It's
it's a great example as well of colloquial dialogue that doesn't feel forced.
Yeah. What's the one line that we both love? Genre of twat.
Yes.
Yeah.
What genre of twat have we got today?
And of course, Tommy Lee Royce is one of the greatest villains in all of fiction.
Yeah.
Scumbag.
Yeah, and it's it's British television, so it's only like 18 episodes total.
Yeah.
But I mean, a lot can go wrong in 18 episodes, and the show never lost. It just got too busy towards the end. Yeah. It never lost that great sense of cause to effect.
Yeah.
That made me fall in love with it.
Again, one writer, that's how we do it over here.
Yeah.
Fuckers. Okay, our number 2.
Oh, you're not even going to pretend anymore, are you?
Our number 2 is Mrs. Davis.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, of course it is.
Well, we reviewed this on... Also stood the test of time, similarly to Happy Valley. It's been quite a while since I've seen it.
Yeah. I think it remains the most original thing that came out of 2023, right?
Absolutely. Nothing like it.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, what the fuck do we say about it now? It's inventive, it's funny, but equally you care about the characters. Betty Gilpin is fantastic.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. I don't know what to say.
I can't even begin to imagine where you'd start with something like this,
Yeah,
and that's nice as well, to have a show that is enjoyable. I imagine it's just like a casual consumer of television, but then for people like you and me that are a bit more aware of writing, and we watch a lot more stuff, it's as if not more impressive.
Oh yeah, and I mean, like, Damon Lindelof has deferred to his co-creator, so she's the one. Like, I was like the mentor, that wily fibber. There's no way. Here's Lindelof through and
that
through.
Lying egg.
Yeah, exactly. Hey. But no, it's like, it is him through and through. It really is. Lindelofic storytelling. The man has a bad rap. He really does have a bad rap. On television, he's pretty much the best that there is, in my opinion. And I think we might have reviewed this on the same episode that we reviewed Happy Valley.
It's not out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, and as a side-by-side, I mean, it's a mini-series in the end of the show, so it's not, you can't completely compare them, but this is one that does stick the landing.
Yeah.
Sticks it perfectly, and you don't need any more of it. Yeah, that's it. That whole story was in those 8, whatever it is, episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was brilliant. Recommend to all, but be aware that, it's not your gateway to television.
No.
Watch some other things first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything more to say about that?
No. Do we announce our number one together?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Now or?
Okay, our number one of the year is Succession Season 4.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And how fortunate as well that we watched this together in real time.
Yeah, I remember watching it with you and just kind of, we were doing it week to week, you know. I was going over your house to watch it. And I think we'd watched like the first 3 seasons relatively close to it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. I think we only had to wait like a year for season 4.
Yeah. And similar to Breaking Bad and shows like that, kind of, I mean, for me, 3 seasons of Breaking Bad had elapsed when I started watching it. And then season 3 had just ended. And then I had to wait a year and a half for season 4. So I kind of shot myself in the foot. But then in that interim, you're like, oh, okay, this is like the greatest thing on television. Like, fucking come on.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happened with Succession. So by the time season 4 rolled around, it was proper, like, exciting appointment TV. And I said to you, like, let's relish this, because this never happens. Like, one of the best shows ever made, and certainly the best show on now.
Yeah.
We get to experience it as it's happening. We get to be part of the zeitgeist.
And also how fortunate we were to attend an interview. Like, actually attend an interview with
Jesse Armstrong.
I'm so sorry, Jesse
We're
Armstrong.
so fortunate you can't remember his name.
To have attended an interview with Jesse Armstrong after episode 9 had aired, but before the finale had aired.
Yeah, like a few days before the finale.
Yeah. No, it really, like, at the time it was airing, it really was just, like, the centre of...
And got to ask him a question, and we were kind of bamboozled, because he's in Cardiff.
Yeah, what's he doing
in the week leading up to the Succession finale?
Yeah.
Why is he doing, like, press tours in New York or whatever? I don't know. I guess his job was just done by that point, so... But... Yeah, and obviously our big thing going in was they're not going to let anyone talk about Succession.
Yeah.
And that was, everyone was talking about
That's the only thing they wanted to talk about.
Yeah, you know, it's one of those shows, isn't it? It's the criticism that people have for Succession is obviously that they're not likable. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you end up rooting for some characters over others.
Yeah.
And that it doesn't really go, like, it's kind of the same story is told again and again and again. But that's the point of it, for one thing. It really is. Like, his obvious Jesse Armstrong's philosophy, as we've seen in Peep Show now, is that people do not change.
Yeah.
And that is the thrust of the show. If you're a fuck-up, you stay a fuck-up, and that's it. And that's gloomy, but you might be right. But even if you're telling effectively the same story again and again, you're doing it with such panache and such wit and just that dialogue. Like, for me, the standout episode, other than Connor's wedding, which is, again, one of the best episodes of anything ever, is Turnhaven in season 2 when they go to the other family's house. And just the dialogue around that table. I just listen to that and just, like, every single time I get that glow of, like, edification, like, this is good for me. You know, like, this is really good stuff. It's won all the awards, rightfully so. Kieran Culkin, in particular, in the ensemble stands out. Matthew McFadden, that scene on the balcony. I mean, what can we...
I know. I mean, who would have thought that when you meet Roman Roy, like in season 1, that you would weep for him by the end of the show?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's just so wonderful to watch a show that just got better. Like, over time,
absolutely
kept getting better.
Absolutely.
Kept getting better.
You're so enamoured.
I can't speak.
No, season 1 is really good. Season 2, by the end of it, you realise... Oh, this is great.
Yeah.
And then, like, it just kind of... It continues that through season 3, and then by the end, it's just like...
Well, coming out of season 3, there was no way... Like, the best we could hope for is that season 4 was as good as season 3.
Yeah, and it was better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like,
again, I'm not going to pretend it was utter perfection. Like, I'm sure when we did the review, I had a few minor, and I stress minor gripes about some of the things. But, no, it was one of those where... You'd have a big event episode, and then the next one, like, okay, it's going to be a come down. And sometimes it was, but it didn't. So, like, after Connor's wedding, like, what's next?
Yeah.
And it's the one where they're at the apartment, but it still was brilliant.
Yeah.
And the thing I love about the show now is, in retrospect, it would have these moments, these cliffhangers, like, ooh, this is going to be a change of the game. And it just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Because people don't change, you know? Like, when Kendall sees his name either underlined or scribbled out, like, ooh, new Kendall.
Yeah.
And it just never quite happens because he's a victim of himself. And
Roman goes over to the dark side, and then that just completely falls apart. Yeah,
exactly.
You're absolutely right.
It's a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing of 2023.
By far.
And with that, I guess we're done.
Yes. Okay. So what's the? Do we? I can't remember. Do we do like a little? And so
A little roundup.
The official top 10 of Funfiltered is.
Let me just undelete my list then.
Okay.
Okay, so Sam's in the third person, top 10 of the year 2023. Number 10, Women Talking. Number 9, Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Number 8, Barry Season 4. Number 7, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial. Number 6, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Number 5, Oppenheimer. Number 4, Tar. Number 3, Happy Valley Season 3, Series 3. Number 2, Mrs. Davis. And number 1, Succession Season 4.
And Jordan's third person top 10 of the year. Number 10, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves.
Sorry, I had to.
No. Don't be like that.
Go on.
Number 9, The Bear Season 2. Number 8, Silo Season 1. Number 7, Oppenheimer. Number 6, Reality. Number 5, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Number 4, Barry Season 4. Number 3, Happy Valley Series 3. Number 2, Mrs. Davis. And number 1, Succession Season 4.
We always meet at the end, don't we?
Yeah. Well, it must be the best of the year.
It must be,
Yeah.
empirically.
Yeah.
There are 2 people here.
2 people agree that it is.
And the mean best thing of 2023 was Succession Season 4.
Yeah. Was there
Okay.
any doubt?
Not really.
No.
Okay, well, we've got a lot of shit to talk about next time. Just looking at the list.
We're not done with
We're
you.
not done. So I'll say bye now. Bye.
Bye.